Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually up and streaming with all of you. And that there's people here. As you can see, my throat is already a little froggy because it's still waking up. So thank goodness I got my Need for Speed coffee mug and a nice hot cup of joe here. Happy birthday to me, and thank you all for being here. I know it was a last minute thing, so I don't think a lot of people could be here, but I'm going to enjoy the art that has been submitted and go over a couple of reviews with people. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of my time here with all of you. I've already downloaded some of the images. Somebody asked me if it was too late to submit. No, it's not. If you submit, just let me know. The link should be down in the video description of this video or the past video that I have. And if you have any trouble, you can always Instagram it to me, email, or Twitter. Just want to move my phone over here because I just felt it go off. And I think it'll be fun. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the birthday wishes. Nadine, thank you so much. Dave, thank you so much. Northeast AI. And Carrie and Scott, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys are all awesome. I'm glad we could have a little bit of fun. We're going to go over a little bit of art. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know or ask right in the chat. Just try your best to put @WildCreates in front of it. It'll highlight it for me. That way I can see it with my eyes. And then we can go over from there. But I figured let's chit-chat for a little bit while I get my voice all warmed up here. Hopefully I'm coming in nice and clear for you all. I show my microphone being in a good zone, so if it's not, let me know if you need me to bump it up a little bit or bring it down a little bit. But I should be sounding okay. Hopefully everybody is doing well this morning. In California, it was raining almost all day yesterday, which I kind of like because it's a rarity here. But today it's nice and clean and crisp. I'm going to go get a nice breakfast after this, take a nice walk, and work out. Today's going to be really easy for me because I kind of planned it that way. And then I'm going to cook myself a nice dinner. Going to make steak, potatoes that are going to have blue cheese, shallots, and rosemary in it. And then Brussels sprouts. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it so much. You're awesome, buddy. You are awesome. Let's start setting this up. Let me load up Photoshop here really quick. Just give me 1 second. And hopefully, I know some people had issues with the Dropbox link because people messaged me. I don't get Dropbox sometimes. Some people have such an easy time dropping things in, and some people always get issues. My only thing I can think of is sometimes Dropbox requires you to have a Google account. Don't know why. I don't even think it's a Google-based product, but that might be the issue for some of you. But hopefully this was easier than previous times. Maybe I'll find a website where I can actually just have you guys drop in anything and it'll be easy. Thank you, Linus. I appreciate it. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. That means a lot to me. I am a chef. I love cooking. I would have to say two of my passions would be, well, creativity trumps everything, obviously. But I love to paint. It's a good de-stressor, and I love being creative in that fashion. But I also love to cook. Cooking's not only impressive for myself as a creative outlet to have. You get to enjoy what you make, which is the best thing about it. But also, I really enjoy cooking for others. And people always appreciate that. It's always a good thing to have for impressing someone, your significant other by chance. All right, so when I downloaded all the images here of what I have, looks like I've got, it's not loading them all. Oh, there we go. It says I have 12, plus somebody submitted a bunch of images. However, they submit them in a file format that doesn't display properly, so I'll display them off Dropbox. If any of you ever take photos of your art, whether it be for social media, YouTube, email marketing, emails in general, your own photo catalog for editing, generally the file formats you want to do are JPEG or better yet PNG. If you have an iPhone, it'll actually shoot in a higher resolution in a file format. I'm going to get the letters wrong here. HEIC or HIEC. I think it's the first one I said. And that's a higher resolution format, which is great if you have the opportunity to edit in that format. but most computer programs and or phones outside of iPhone don't read those without an extension piece on them or an extension reader. So you have to be very careful in shooting that. I always recommend convert your phone over to in the settings of your iPhone to shoot in a simpler format. You're going to get a slightly lower compressed image, but it's going to be very unnoticeable to you, but it just makes it so much easier to operate and use outside of iPhone if you want to load your things to websites, social media contact pages, and things like that. Just a little thing. A lot of people don't even know about it. I didn't even know about it when I got my iPhone 13 that it shot. I knew it shot higher res, but I thought it still put it in a JPEG or PNG file format or an easier photo image format. All right, Dave, I think we actually have yours, my friend, which I saw, by the way. It was beautiful. Let me load this into Photoshop because they just all got in here. I'm hoping my Photoshop works perfectly today. There we go. It always wants me to update it now, and I just literally updated it. I love the new beta version of Photoshop, but man, I swear it wants an update like every 2 days now. All right, let's move this over to history. Let's swap over here. So if you guys have never been here for an art review, first of all, we're going to just appreciate the art. I want to see what you've been creating. And like always, you amaze me. But we're going to do an art appreciation, plus I'm just going to give a little bit of insight. If I review your artwork and you're here, feel free to speak up. Let us know what you titled the piece. What was the medium that you worked in? How many hours did it take you? What did you struggle with? You know, let us know those fun things because it gives relative information to the people watching right now or to the VOD later. And also how long you've been painting is also a great one as well. And I'll go over just a slight critique here. And if you have any particular issues that you struggled with, let me know in the comments for the piece we're about to show here up on screen. And I'll be more than happy to give a little bit of insight or guidance or just say, hey, you know, that looks fantastic, which is generally what happens. Now, I believe this one is from Dave, who is in the chat right now. So you can all be amazed at his artwork when we switch over here. I forget which one it is. Nope, not that one. It's been a while since I've streamed. There we go. And let me hold on. Let me put my iWatch on Do Not Disturb. There we go. That way it's not always listening to everything I say because I like to talk with my hands. Hey, the card guy. How you doing there today? Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. I appreciate it. Alrighty. So this is Dave's. Actually, let me move my coffee over here. I don't want to knock it over with my elbow. Excuse me. Let's take a quicker look in here and move it over so that way you guys can see a little bit over on this side here. So this looks like a beautiful landscape piece done in oil. You can kind of tell from the wicking up at the top here and how beautiful and wet it looks. We got a beautiful, nice, warm, to me, almost like transitioning the seasons towards summer of a mountainscape here. Love the beautiful blue sky, mountains that you got going on here. I love the thick cascading of highlights and shadow tones on your mountain. Got a nice distant tree line, mid-tree line with a bunch of different plains and bush plains in here. Looks good, dude. This is beautiful. Dave used oil, obviously, Gamblin gel, and 2 hours to paint. This is fantastic for 2 hours, Dave. Let's take a look here. I already duplicated the layer. Let me switch over my colors here. Let's get an appropriate size so you guys can see a brush. Let's do green for good. And let's do red for not so good. This is actually really good overall, dude. So let's take a look here. So first of all, we got your beautiful, beautiful sky in the background here. The thing that I love most about it, Dave, is that you added darker corners. That's maybe a little too big of a brush. Let's do 35. You got these beautiful little vignette actions in here, which are going to concentrate the eye more towards the center of the painting. Now, this is easily achieved by simply just making your corners darker, which you did, so great job. You can sometimes do that on the bottom corners. It's not as natural, per se, for the perspective that's growing closer to us. However, oops, that's right, it can't be on a hidden layer. If you wanted to really focus the eye to a center point, like let's say you had something right here, you could do it. But good job on the vignette. I love your clouds. However, I do see one particular error that I would recommend that you think about next time you do a cloud. This left-handed side right here is perfection. Let's get rid of this layer really quick. You've got these beautiful cascading and whips of crowns on the clouds that create these just multi-dimensional shapes up here that look great, and they fade down into a smooth transition, which look great for the contrast between this and the mountain that's laying in front of it. However, on this side here, I imagine you probably did your right-handed clouds first, if you're right-handed, and the ones on the left second, because it looks so much better. But you've got this really defined cloud here, and then this bottom smoothed out piece that looks not as natural or associated with the particular cloud that you have here. Now, that's just an opinion, because clouds can be whatever you want. Obviously, they have no rhyme or reason for everything. But if I was to do this cloud, I would probably bring down another crown piece just to whip up into here, just so it anchors the cloud a little bit more in this layering that you have on it. Other than that, it looks fantastic. Most people would say, hey, you need to clean up this piece. You need to clean up this piece because it looks dry and it looks weird. I actually like those striations of the paintbrush that whip off that extra paint, because that does happen with clouds when wind pushes through it. That's a personal preference that I like, and I like how you leave it in there. But some people like to smooth it out. Smooth filbert brush or dagger brush is an easy way to do it if you don't like it, for anyone out there. Yeah, aren't the flowers are beautiful down here, Linus? All right, let's talk about our mountains here. Fantastic. I actually love how you shaped it down and out like that. You give it a really, really strong statement piece of how this mountain, to me, it's more like a cliff, kind of shapes out in here. But let's talk about this back one really quick. You did the right move. The further back something is, you really don't notice how much up and down something goes. So you did a good job of kind of just adding a little bit of bumpage and down and out. The only thing I would add is, when you get to here, and even maybe here too, I would pull a little bit harder, or let's see, how do I want to phrase this? I would feather this out with a lot more pressure here in the beginning, and then feather out here. So that way it introduces a little more white into the background, so it looks like the atmosphere and lighting that's cascading down onto it is blowing out and creating all this diffusion, which is what would naturally happen within nature in the perspective of your eye. You do a great job here, but I would actually probably introduce a little bit here, so that way it pushes that mountain even further back and creates a more separational tone. And then you could pull the mountain a little bit here, because you got a little bit too much white. You just need a little bit here. But I love the tones you have. I love how you did the muted whites with the muted grays and the muted blues, which creates separation for over on this mountain. So good job, dude. And then this mountain is just fantastic. It's super fantastic. The only thing I would probably change if I was to do something on this is I would cascade the mountain all the way fully down and out, because it's more closer to us. That'll create a nice little valley here of that mist. And then it'd be hard to tell, but I don't feel like it should come to a point right here. I love this cliff piece. Generally, when you have cliffs are shaped by wind and erosion and a bunch of things like that. So I feel like this mountain should maybe come down more like that, and then over with its shadow tone. It's just, I don't know, something to think about. It'd be hard to play around with on Photoshop, but might be something worth experimenting next time. I do love it though. I love the bold tones and the shades and everything that you got. I love the nice dry layer that you got down here to stick your trees on. Speaking of the tree line that you have right here, buddy, it seems a little weird that it stops specifically right here and specifically right here. I think it'd be a little more natural if you took the tree line over. I know why you didn't, because you obviously wanted your paint to stick a little easier for you. But you'd only have to continue them like a little bit more here and then stop, so that way it's a natural transition. You can see where your bank and tree line stops, but that's just because I've got a noticeable eye. And then it also stops right here. Now that could stop, but you may want to just add a few more going this way, so it adds a little more depth and dimension. And there also needs to be a little something back here, because there's just a blank spot. What you could do is you could always add another tree that's kind of half on canvas, half off canvas, that just fills in this gap, that just, fills in that dead space. Yeah, I noticed that a lot too, and after I finish, I'll be like, oh, this looks good, and I go, fuck, there's a dead zone there, or damn, I didn't bring this across. But I'm just bringing it up to you, so next time, which is why one of my favorite things to do when I paint, Dave, is generally after I finish like the sky or the clouds or a mountain or this layer plane, I generally step back. I'll do like 3 feet, 6 feet, 9 feet and get a perspective. and then I'll look at it and go, oh, I didn't pull it over here, or oh man, I stopped here too short. It just gives you a little bit more. When you sit 3, 6, 9 inches away from your painting, you're like a horse with blinders on. You become hyper focused on particular parts, which is a good thing and bad thing. Yeah, so you did actually a really good job here with bringing this tree off on this corner. So that's a good example. It fills in the gap just a little bit more so your eye doesn't notice it. David, happy birthday. How can I send you my painting? That looks amazing, Dave. Dave did a good job. There's a link in the video description below of this live stream. That's a Dropbox that you can drop your painting in there. Let me know when you do, because I've already pulled a bunch out of there. Oh, how do you submit a picture? Same answer, Nadine. Link in the video description of this live stream here. That's a Dropbox link, and you just drop your stuff in there, and then just let me know when you do. So the only issue I really have, Dave, is I got 2 big issues. Everything else is fantastic. The 2 big ones that stick out for me are the highlights that are on your trees, and not necessarily the highlights of your floral flowers, your bushes, whatever you want to call them. It's the way that they're applied, okay? And now this is going to be very, very tough because it's all about sticking paint on top of paint. So wet paint on top of wet paint on top of wet paint on top of wet paint. I've been there, okay? For your trees, let's see if I can zoom in here so you guys can get a little bit more. Thank you for sending a high-res image, by the way, Dave. You're awesome. What I would recommend is when you tap in your trees here, I would recommend after you've tapped them in with whatever paint you're using, your Gamblin and your gel and whatnot, let it tacky up for just a couple of minutes, okay? Then take that blue shop towel and lay it on there. Lay it flat, and then just put some slight pressure. Now, if you did that, good. I'm happy for you. Then you peel that sucker away and pull it straight towards you so that way it doesn't affect the painting in any particular way. The brush you're using, I feel like you don't have enough control of just yet. So what I recommend is a smaller brush. Now, I'm going to assume, not sure, it's hard. I would say it's a fan brush, but I don't see a lot of cascading of paint coming over in a U shape, but I'm just going to assume it's a fan brush. I would use a smaller one, something that you have a little more control with. Now, if you don't want to use a fan brush, using a round is really good, or a frayed flat. Yeah, I like using frayed brushes because it has all the hairs going in different directions. Helps a lot. Using a really cheap paintbrush is good for this. And just do literally a tap, pull back, a tap, pull back, a tap, pull back, and then continue. Okay, that's what I would recommend because it's going to be easier for you. It's going to take a lot longer. You'll do this painting in 2 hours and 30 minutes, but you'll have greater transitions and greater cascading and greater gradients of colors that go down your tree for highlights. And plus you can do them in stages and have a lot more control and make those leaves. The other thing with the trees is your sun source is more or less just straight from the center, and it's cascading down like straight. So generally, probably most likely, your highlights would actually be on the left for anything sitting on the right, and anything sitting on your left, the highlights would be on the right side of it. So this side is good. This side can maybe be flipped, but it's an opinion-based thing. I know why you did it. You're probably right-handed, so it's easier on the right-hand side, which I'm cool with. It is a fan brush. Any other brush to use? Yeah, I would, like I said, I like using frayed brushes. Whenever you have bad brushes, whenever you have good brushes go bad, just get yourself a cheap little mason jar or whatever glass container that you like, and put your crappy brushes in that. Crappy brushes always have a use for certain things. Like, I like to keep them for putting highlights on bushes or trees just like this because they have all those fraying of hairs that look like thousands of leaves or thousands of needles or thousands of whatever you want it to fill in for, and you can just tap and shape what you want. Just push in, get those bristles to bend just a tiny bit, and then pull out. Then move to the next section, push in, get those bristles to bend, and then pull out. And it'll be a lot easier. The other issue that I have is while I love your planes, let's move this over here for you. While I love your planes that come down, just like that, there's not enough contrast between the separation of planes. I love the colors that you have, but they're all one big, massive, contained mush of paint. Now, my eye can distinguish the different planes that you have. Like, I understand that this is a plane, I understand that that is a plane, and I understand that that is a plane, even though those are really shitty lines drawn. Okay? But since you have so much if I take out all the color, you can see now that it's really hard to distinguish between these planes here because they're all just one massive monochromatic mush, okay? You kind of got to think in contrast to some degree when you build planes. If you would have had layers of separate... Oh, this won't... Oh, no, it will. Cool, I didn't know that. I guess it's because it's a different plane. If you would have had a little bit of separation of color between... Or sorry, contrast between here, the next plane would stand out more for everybody, okay? For the perspective of the eye. Then, oops. Then this plane you put in would have more separation from the next plane behind it. So I would say you would have to just create more separational planes for when you put in all this stuff. And that takes a little while to do because when you're creating bushes, it can get away from you very quickly. I know, I've been there. And then the same thing on this side too. Like it's really hard to distinguish when, really hard to distinguish when this plane starts and then ends into this one and so forth and so forth. It all just becomes one big massive ball to some degree. So my advice is less bushes, or let's see, how can we figure this out? How can I phrase it to where it makes sense? I already know you understand. When you're creating your planes and you're creating your bushes, don't let your bushes get away from you because you got tap happy. You tapped in this beautiful one and that beautiful one and that beautiful one and that beautiful one and that beautiful one. And then you're like, oh, I need another one here and 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 then another one here and another one here and another one here and another one here. Well, that looks great in theory, but then there's no contrast here between this bush and this bush and this bush and this bush and this bush, or this plane going here or this plane going here. So it just becomes too much, you know? Always think about how you're going to create separation between your planes and your bushes and everything. You want everything to stand out to some degree. Other than that, everything, and this little part, this looks a little dry, but that's fine. It's a painting. It's not a picture. Just may want to be very considerate, sure, why not, of where you put your liquid white and making sure that it's covering all particular parts. I like to look at my canvas from left, right, up, down to make sure I didn't miss anything or if there's a dry spot there. This is beautiful, dude. I love it. I think you did a fantastic job with the highlights pulling down. You got a little dry section here too, but that's fine. This looks fantastic, dude. I would say you're just a little highlight heavy. A little highlight heavy. And then just working on those planes of separation. I generally, when I try to learn how to paint... Why is my phone going off? Stop going off. When I try to paint planes... I try to keep it to like 3 planes. I find 3 planes kind of manageable. That's just me. So that way, like you can do plane with all your color and what you need, and then contrast, and then next plane for what you want on it and what you need, and then contrast and rinse, repeat. And that makes it generally easier to manage, for sure. This is beautiful though, dude. You nailed this. I really, really, really... No. I want to grab. No. Don't want to do that either. I really love your mountain. I think it's just an awesome little piece here. It's a statement piece. And your clouds on the left are fantastic. I'm glad that you're starting to dominate it all. Water lines are a little wonky. But that's fine. Water lines are tough, dude. Even though they're just straight lines, making them look natural can be very difficult. Davis, there should be a Dropbox link down in the video description of this live stream right here. So that way you can submit it, let me know when you do, and then I can grab it for you. Thank you for the birthday wishes, Figa. I appreciate it very much, man. Dave, this is fantastic. I think this is a great painting to test your skills on because it has more or less everything in it. It's got your nice transition in the skies. It's got your clouds. It's got your mountains. It's got your background forestry of like your slope and plains and trees, then your midground to foreground trees and bushes, creating all these different planes. It's really good. I like it a lot. Just got to think more like a bush. Just got to think more like a bush, which is one of the hardest things to think about, how you press in and move back and start shaping like different bush areas. One piece of advice that I would probably... I do have Snapchat, but I never really use it that much. I believe it's Wild 4 Games. I haven't really used it in a long time. But feel free. I usually just look at what people send me. I don't really reply too much on it. Instagram and Twitter are my best things. I'm excited to see what you paint next, Dave. Super excited. Thank you for letting us take a look at it. That was beautiful. That was extremely beautiful. All right, is there anybody else in chat at the moment that's submitted through the Dropbox link that is here? Because I'd like to review people's stuff while they're here if they have any particular questions or interests. And Dave, if you had any questions on the one we just looked at, let me know. Do my best to help you out or give you some guidance or what I can. My buddy Tally, oh, you're welcome. I appreciate it, man. I love helping you out. And thank you for supporting the channel. You're awesome. Tally submitted something last night, but it was just, I think it's a logo piece he's been working on. Let's take a look at it real quick. It's just like a little logo piece he was working on because he was testing out the link for me, which made me feel like everything was working fine. So if there's another person here, we'll move on to theirs next, but we'll go down it. So this is Tally he was working on for a piece. I think he was drawing this on like a skateboard or something like that. Just the Converse logo with a nice aesthetic background. Of course, the man dominates what he does. You threw one in the mountains a little bit ago in the Dropbox. Cool, I'll grab it right now, Scott. Happy birthday. Thank you, Stephanie. Tally's always so talented. All right, let me grab. Give me 1 second here. Oh, I guess I should open. Oh, no, I did open up one. Let's see. Do you remember what you titled it, Scott? So that way I can filter. Or maybe I can sort by new. Yeah, sort by recent. Nope, that did not work. How does sort by recent not work? Which ones do I have versus the ones I don't have? Maybe it's sort by recent on the bottom? No. Sort by recent does not work on Dropbox, apparently. Scott M. Mountain. Thank you. Found it. That is the best description anybody can give me right away. Let me download that really quick. What did I put this under? 1 second, my friends. Art submissions. There we go. Got it, buddy. Thank you for the clean way of describing that. All right, let's pull Photoshop back up here really quick. Julie, thank you so much. I submitted a wedding painting. I saw that as I was just going through right now. We're going to get to our next one right here. I've never had a critique and would love to improve. I don't do weddings, but I'll be more than happy to give you a little bit of insight or at least my honest opinion from just another artistic eye out there. In fact, we can do yours now because I'm looking for somebody who's here that would love to do one. Davis, I uploaded my photo just now. I didn't know how to title it. Okay, what was the painting of? Hey, Dave, thank you so much for the love right there. I appreciate it. Thanks for the first super of the day and from you, man. Thank you so much for that appreciation. That'll go to what I'm doing for my birthday tomorrow. So I will dedicate my first shot to Dave. I'm going to go to this place where there's an 80s cover band playing. I'm going to dance with all of my friends, strike out hitting on a bunch of girls, and have a fun time drinking and getting home safely. So thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. I'm very good at striking out. I'm a master of rejection. You submitted an ink piece. You finished it last night? Oh my gosh, Rebecca. That sounds amazing. I don't work in ink, but I'll be more than happy to look at it. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at the wedding one. Oh wait, did I grab the wedding one? Who submitted one that has their name on? I guess we could look at Scott's really quick because I just pulled that one. I thought I saw a wedding one in there, but it's not in my folder. Give me 1 second. Oh, there it is. Oh, there we go. I gotta fix that to why it's so delayed. Thank you so much. I found the wedding one. Apparently it did not download. Now I got it though. Okay. Let's look at Scott's really quick. And then I think, Eddie, I got yours. Yeah, I see it. Eddie Snoopy. We can do that next. All right. So let's do Scott's really quick because it's here and easy to get up here. Yours has your name on it. Thank you. Ooh, I love the highlights on this. Let's take a look what we got here. So this one is from Scott. We got a beautiful little mountain here. Let me duplicate this layer really quick because that's what I always forget to do. Pull this in and move it over here so you guys get a little bit better of a perspective on it. Simple painting. Simple, simplicics are some of my favorite ones. We got a nice beautiful sky, mountain, background tree line with a somewhat mid tree line to us, and just layers of plains, which is beautiful. Scott, if you don't mind telling us on the chat how many hours you put into it, what medium, what colors, things like that. Whatever you think is going to be important for anybody watching in the stream or the chat right now will be awesome. But let's go over what we have. Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it so much. Make it 2 shots. One for me and one for my rejected, non-existent girl. First time trying to paint your picture of Mount Rainier in oil. Hell yeah, Scott. I love it. I love when people go outside their comfort zone and try something. Dave, thank you so much. You are awesome, my friend. You the man. Nah, you the man, bro. It's going to give me 2 shots of courage. And then, man, do I have a bunch of white dancing moves. All right, let's get to the painting here. So what we got is a beautiful sky, just like what we talked about for Dave's painting. You did it a little bit, but it's a little hard to see just because it's a little bit of an underexposed image here. But in your top corners, you've got a nice little, this should be green, but it's okay. You've got a nice little vignette in the corners, which pushes the focus towards the center of your Mount Rainier. Nice. If you wanted to enhance that, just take a little more blue in your brushes, and just put some cross strokes in there and just blend them in and pull them down a little bit towards the center. It'll help create that focal point for the eye. Your clouds, not bad. I feel like you could use a little bit of work on them. Generally, as we all know, the sun is way up here and it's cascading light down in all directions, okay? So the top of your clouds should have a little more definition to them versus the bottom of the clouds. Now, they don't always have to because clouds have no rhyme or reason, but if you wanted your clouds to have a little more of a pop to them, you should have a little more definition here up on top. By definition, can be a few things. Don't work them as much so there's a little more detail that sticks out, or add a little more paint or brighter paint, like a stark white, to create certain specular highlights in certain spots so that way the light is hitting those particular areas. That'll make them pop, and then you could smooth blend the bottom out to really anchor them in. That would really help create a more, I don't know, more rounded painting overall. I don't have a defined memory of Mount Rainier in my memory, but I'm not sure if Mount Rainier is as rounded as it is. If it is, cool. If not, you may want to consider adding a few more defined edges up top here because this mountain is so big, it should have a little more striations and jags into them. Just a tiny bit, which is easily done with the knife. Just cut it up or cut it down a little bit on the angle that you want to attempt. Now, in my mind, this Mount Rainier is going through like a transition of like from winter to summer. So there's probably not going to be as much snow on it, or there's going to be pockets of it that have really froze, warmed up, and so forth, which is kind of the feel that I get of this painting, which is awesome. You did upload it, and just not sure if it went right to use. Whoops, not sure if I did it right. Never used Dropbox. I know Dropbox can be weird sometimes, but I'll take a look here for you in a minute after I finish this one. So the one piece of advice I'd give you, although there's nothing really wrong with your mountain, Scott, this is more of a, let's just say, impasto style with a little bit of free flare within your hand, which is beautiful. However, if you want to create defined shapes with your mountain, you have to define what is the highlight and what is the shadow side, okay? So when you're mountain here, you're defining by this brush stroke here that this is going to start to create your highlight side where this green is, okay? Now there can be shadows within your highlight side, but on this side here, you have now defined that this coming down is going to be a shadow side. Thus, you must treat it like it because your sun is being established on your right-hand side. Okay? So that's the only advice I'd give on your mountain is you need to think about where the striations, where the cracks, the crevices, the peaks, and the valleys are in your mountain and define it with your highlights and shadows as you come down and across. And just like this simple illustration here, you start to see a little bit more of how this mountain can take shape within it. Okay? That's the one thing you need to do because you kind of slapped snow a little bit everywhere here and there. Now that could happen if the sun, let's just say, is behind us shooting onto the mountain from our perspective, but still, even if it was shooting straight on it at a, direct shot, 12 o'clock shot, there'd still be certain shadow areas hidden in pockets like down in here that you need to create. That's going to give your mountain depth, okay? You just need to add a little bit. The black undertone, the black underpainting, the black blue undertone, the black blue gray undertone that you have in here helps create the illusion that there's all these different pockets and stuff, but you can enhance it by adding a little bit more. All your brush strokes are going to define shape and detail of what you have, or your palette knife strokes will. I was thinking something felt off when I was building the snow on the mountain. Yeah, whenever you add highlights, you always want to think about, well, what middle tone can I add next? Or what shadow tone can I add next? Now, since you have an undertone of this blue steel gray, it helps to the illusion of that, but you should still add a little bit of something. Even grabbing more of that blue steel gray color and just pulling down in a certain angle is going to create a shape that's going to really help build that mountain out for you, okay? What I would recommend is when you get some free time this weekend, Scott, go look at my mountain painting video. And the very first one that I do, it's talking about background mountains, but the rules will apply to this. I show you how you can take some simple brush strokes and create the highlight side, and then take some simple brush strokes and create the shadow side. And it's just very soft, and it helps create just a little bit of detail enough, and your brain will fill in everything else. That would really help out your mountain. Overall, though, I really like it. It looks like you could really learn to loosen up on your palette knife strokes just a little bit. Looks like you need to balance the knife in your hand a little bit more. Excuse me, banana burp. And then when you have the paint on there, it should lean just slightly forward. And when you have that, you have the perfect loading of your knife. So that way when you hold it in your hand and you go up and you apply it to your painting up here, you can just drag the knife across and it's going to bounce and bump and create those beautiful little breaks and cracks in there. It looks like as we get close here from the defined detail, you were treating a little bit like a butter knife and toast. You're putting too much pressure right off the bat because I can see the pressure marks that you have, like especially like right here. This is a great indicator that you pushed and then everything just fell off the knife right away. So just learning a softer touch. The nice thing is when you have a nice blue steel mountain like this, you can do one palette knife pull, and if you don't like it, flip the knife over and then just scrape back up and remove it, and then brush everything back in, add a little more blue steel, and then pull it down again and try again. You can keep doing it over and over when you have a nice dark blue steel color like this. The other thing you might want to consider is just, you did a great job here, is you got this beautiful separational layer of mist in between your mountains and trees, but you don't have it over here, which you may want to consider adding just a little bit. So think about how you're pulling that paint down and creating the shape of your mountain and where it's going to fade off into your next layer. Generally what I like to do, I can't show you on here because it's not on an easel, is I like to take some painter's tape. Oops, let's use a different color here. I can take some painter's tape and I'm like, all right, there's my horizon line, that little red line there. So when I pull my mountain down, I know I got to start fading like around here and then fade out, fade out, fade out, okay? So that way I'm not pulling it beyond that. Having visual cues for you around your painting really helps you define what your painting is going to be and where it needs to start and stop for certain things. Because I know from my past experience, I'll make a mountain and I'll pull it all the way down. And I'm like, oh crap, I don't have any separational layers for right here. It's all going to be dark on dark on dark. I'll take a look after this, Stephanie, just remind me. The other bit of advice I'd have for you, Scott, is when you're creating your background tree layer, your trees aren't bad. They're just a little too defined for background. You just got a lot of paint on here. You can actually loosen up. As things are in the background, they're lighter in color, and they're also generally bluer in color, but that's for a different lesson. Because there's atmosphere and there's light pollution and fog and moisture in between the viewer's perspective eye and everything. So there's not a lot of detail. So if these are further in the background, use a little less paint and they'll look like lights cascading through it or lightening up. And then also think about your plane. Your plane kind of comes down and then swoops back up, and then I'm not really sure where it happens because it gets dark over here. But think about where your plane is. Nothing wrong with creating a hash mark here and a hash mark here for your first tree and be like, okay, now I know where this plane is going. It's going in this general direction, or it's going to go in this general direction and stop. Nothing wrong with creating in and out points for you. And the other reason why you would want to create these trees to be a lighter tone is because these trees are the exact same value as these trees right here. However, these trees are somewhat closer to us. In fact, they're probably a lot closer to us than these trees, which makes your painting look flat because they're all the same value and defined color, okay? So think about that. If you want to create layers, you have to think about one, contrast, but also color value is going to help you create that defined separation as well. Luckily, you help yourself out by adding highlights on top of these trees, which is good. Same thing with Dave. It looks like you have a little bit of problem getting your paint to stick. That's fine. I'm sure you're a new painter. Keep tackling it. You just might want to try that paper towel trick that we talked about earlier, and then you'll have an easier time sticking it on. And consider using a smaller brush that you have more control over. Your planes on your grass aren't actually that bad. They just need more defined midtones and highlights on top of it. My eye can differentiate. There's a plane here. There's a plane here. It looks like there's kind of a plane here. And it looks like there's kind of a plane here that maybe meets up into this one. All you have to do is just tap in. Like there's a tree here. You should tap in right at the base of it. A little bit of like yellow ochre or cad yellow medium, just like that, and fade that color off, and you can put like a little yellow ochre underneath it so it looks like there's transition of grass going in there. And then do the same thing under here. Create your next plane with your grass and highlights going in it. These can maybe meet up. Then tap a little bit down with the yellow ochre underneath it. Then leave this section here darker, and then you can do your next plane here with a little bit of cad yellow, maybe a little bit of cad yellow here, then some yellow ochre for some dead spots and whatnot, you know? That would create beautiful transitions and separate out your layer planes a lot easier. Again, use the paper towel trick if you're having issues getting anything to stick on top of another. How can I blend with oil paint? The easiest answer is a paintbrush. Generally, oil paint, pixelated, is going to stay wet for an extended periods of time. Now, if you're having trouble blending your oil paint, it's generally because you're treating oil paint like acrylic and you're probably loading way too much into your brush. While some things will require a lot of paint, most things require very little paint with oil paint because oil paint spreads so much. So what I recommend is proper application to your paintbrush. And proper application to me means an even distribution across your paintbrush. That way it's not heavy on one side and thin on one side unless you need it to be for that particular reason. You want an even application all the way across. So that way when you're using your blending brush strokes, whatever brush strokes they may be, you're going to have even application and more control all the way across. Now when I blend two colors, let's say I did cross strokes of blue on top and then let's just say an orange underneath to create a nice beautiful sunset transition. I like to bring those colors close together, but generally not really touching just yet. Then I'll take a clean and dry 1 or 2 inch brush and start blending the less pigmented color, the orange, into the more pigmented color, the blue. If you do the opposite, you're going to ruin the painting because the blue is going to overtake the orange really quickly, unless that's what you're going for. And then just sit there and just start with light brush strokes. And then if I need more pressure or pulling color in a certain direction, I just add more pressure and pull in that general direction. And then I'll take another clean dry inch brush and work out all my brush stroke marks. And that's pretty much it. So Scott, I think you did a fantastic job here, dude. I think you nailed it right out of the park. I think you just need a little more practice on a little bit of your clouds. It's a little bit of the mountain shaping of what you want, the highlights, and just going back with the trees. And you don't need to load so much paint. It's oil paint. It'll go far for you, dude. But thanks. This was super cool. I love seeing that. Alrighty, who's up next? I think we had Eddie. Eddie, are you still here, dude? I love it, dude. I think, thank you for your, first of all, thank you, Scott, for submitting it. I appreciate it. You're a rock star, dude. I would say if I could give you one stellar piece of free advice, paint it again, okay? I don't know when you painted that. Let's say if it was this week or last week, is if you get time this weekend or a week from now, paint it again. Just make some quick notes on a piece of paper really quick of what I said. Okay, think about adding a little extra detail to the top of your clouds or some stark white to create some defined tops, okay? Think about your mountain shape. It should have a little more jags in it. Think about how you would shape your highlights and your shadows to create some definition on top of your mountain. Think about leaving that nice misty layer on the bottom. So that way it creates a separational layer. Think about making your trees shape to the plane of how they're going to follow the lay of the land, but also you don't need to add as much color because, again, they're in the background. Maybe use a lighter green or a lighter color. And then remember to tap in your planes and add highlights and midtones to really shape how your land will lay. And I guarantee you'll if you do that, take your time, obviously, you'll have a painting that looks 10 times better. 10 times better. Davis, it was a landscape painting with some grayish distant hills and some plains, a couple trees in the very front on the right side. Okay. Let's take a look what we have. I guess I could go back to... Do I have this one? I got another one somebody added in here. Looks like a haunted house. That looks dope as shit. Did yours have the cabin? I've got one named Snow Trail. I guess maybe I should just go down the list. Let's just do that. I got Card Shark. That'll probably be easier for me. And then what I can do here, I'm going to list this as complete. So let's see. Where'd this one go? We got these two out of the way. Cool. Let's do Card Shark next. And then I'll just keep going down the list, and then we can see what we're missing and getting. Ooh, this one's from an art class. Oh, this looks like from a CRI art class. I like the, I love the ranch cup that we have going on right here. That's awesome. Let me move this over here for you guys to see. Oh, I can also enlarge it a little bit. There we go. Oh, I needed the water. Tasted good. Oh, my phone's going off. All right, there we go. Sorry. Birthday wishes from people. Got to get to them. All right, let's take a look here. So this one is from Card Shark. Looks like... This almost looks like it's the grandeur of summer painting that you would do at a CRI class, which is generally one that you would always attempt. So we've got nice blue sky, mountains, background tree line, encapsulating with our water, and then the sides that are kind of enclosing it here. Let's take a look. All in all, not bad, okay? Some of your brushstroke marks need a little bit of work of how you're pulling them in certain directions. Your brushstrokes define movement within your painting. So when you have brushstrokes that come down like this, or down like that, you're defining how movement is within your painting. So remember that. If you want that to happen within your clouds or skies, that's fine, but also remember how it's going to affect the overall appearance of it, which is why generally most landscape painters, depending on how everything is, even out brush strokes. So let's take a look here. You got a beautiful vignette happening in your sky, which is pulling the concentration towards the center, like we talked about in our last two paintings. Good job. And then we have your clouds. Your clouds have a little bit of an issue. Oh, Scott, thank you so much, man. I appreciate the $10 dono. That'll buy me three strikes. That'll buy me 3 shots now to strike out with on chicks. I'm super excited. And thank you for the first super on the live stream, dude. So for your clouds, it looks like you have a pressure issue. Okay, Card Shark? Your brush strokes aren't bad. It's the pressure that you're applying to them. I can tell you're wiping away a little bit of detail within your clouds here, and it's not holding that shape that you want to make them pop in particular. So what I recommend is, this is generally easier for me when I teach people, is when you work on a cloud like you have here, try your best to stay away always from the top until the very end. Until the very end. Work down here with your cross strokes and where you want to anchor your cloud in, and really put a little bit more effort into that. Then when you're right at the end of the process of finishing off your cloud, then you can either whip it up for a little bit of movement in it, or just blend out the strokes to clean everything up at the very end. So that way you'll have a more defined cloud sitting in here. You did a better job here because it's standing out against the blue, but there's not much shape and detail within these particular parts. Scott, thank you so much for it. I gotta really fix those delay and the alerts there, but I love it. Thank you so much, man. You're awesome, and thank you for the birthday wishes, and I love seeing your art. You did the haunted house? Hell yeah, I did. I love it, Tony. So I would just say, like we said in the last one, add a little bit more paint up top, but also it's just going to take a little bit of time of how you lay the paintbrush down correctly and go across your cloud. Some people will lay down too hard, or they'll lay down to 90 degrees. I like to come in a little bit of a 45-degree angle, so that way I'm not using all of my bristles. I'm using just a third of them, and kind of just gingerly coming across, going in and out, and flipping it up. That makes it a little easier, but it's all about learning the correct pressure. Okay. As we come down here with our mountain, not bad. You still have the same of the dissipation issues as our last person here. Think about creating a nice little separational layer of white. You got a little bit right here, but think about where you're going to pull that painting down. This is actually easier to show to illustrate my point. There's nothing wrong with saying like, okay, I'm going to put a piece of tape here, and I'm going to put a piece of tape here. This is where my horizon point is going to be within my landscape of my environment. So as I come across here, I have to start creating a plane of separation, a white plane, a misty plane, whatever you want it to be, okay? So think about that. Just remember where your horizon is going to be. It can be a little tough to do in a painting class, because if they don't have the finished piece up there, you may not know where it's going to be. So never be afraid to ask, hey, where's our horizon going to be, so that way you can make a mental note. Your paint, same issue as the last person. You did a good job of defining where your peaks and tops will be, coming down and out. So what I would probably do is flip your palette knife over, use that pointer end, and scratch in what's going to be your highlight, and what's going to be, let's just say this one across this way, because I think it should actually. I don't think you should have 4 peaks. You should have 3. It's manageable. Scratch in what's going to be your highlight side. So our green now you can define as your highlight side, just like this. Bring those paint breaks down to wherever you need them to be. And now you can define your shadow side however you want. Maybe these meet up in here, but now you're going to have a lot more detail in a mountain that has more defined shapes in it. Like even looking further back from this perspective, it looks a lot better. Don't be afraid to give your eye a visual template. It's not cheating to give yourself a visual template. I do it all the time. I do it with everything because my brain works that way. I need something to follow. So don't be afraid to flip your knife over and create these beautiful little actions and planes right up in there, okay? I forgot to make a duplicated layer. There we go. Same issue as the last person. You just gotta learn the pressure that it takes to come across. What I generally teach is, like we said, balance the knife, a little weight on the end so it dips a little down, so that way it feels good in your hand. And just come up here and take the peak of the knife and play it right here and just tap in. About that much paint should come in there so that it sticks. Then you can pull the knife away and go, oh, okay, now I know where I'm going. Go back to this exact same spot and tap again. It's going to stick easily because you already put the knife down. And just start pulling down so softly and so slowly. Now you're probably going to run out of paint here. That's fine though, but you're going to have beautiful paint breaks as you get there. Don't be afraid to do it in stages and then pull and fade away. Do the same thing here. Peek of the knife and then pull down and across, okay? You just need to learn pressure. I'm telling you, if you're struggling with Mountain Snow highlights. Go get yourself a tube of that Winsor & Newton titanium white. One of the firmest paints I've ever come across. Also, don't be afraid to use the paper towel. Rub off any excess paint so it exposes more of that toothing there, okay? Your horizon line is a little crooked to the perspective of the eye. Kind of comes down like that and goes across. That's fine if it was supposed to be two planes. Like if this is one plane and then this plane cuts down and across, make it do that. What probably generally happens, and this happens a lot, if you're working on a tabletop, you generally dip your head to tap things in. The minute you tip your head, you tip your brush. And so things start going this way because your eye line went from here to here. So don't be afraid. It's tough. I do this all the time in my easel too, because I'm trying to tap in details or do something. Is think about the think about the lines that create your plane. Okay, and it's as simple as that. When you're tapping in your highlights for your bushes, remember these are background bushes. They don't need a lot of defined detail. What I recommend is start with way less paint. I'll get my hands here. Actually, no, let me get a paintbrush really quick. Ta-da! Oh, thank you, 67. I appreciate the birthday cheers. And Weapon Iron Fist, thank you for the birthday cheers. And Airstrike, oh my God, how you doing there, man? Happy birthday. Don't I look handsome as shit still? So take your paintbrush. I'm assuming you probably used a 1-inch brush for that back end part. And what you want to do is obviously pull in one direction so you round out the brush and flip it over if you want to. You don't always have to, but it's recommended on how they teach you. And when you come in, whoops, I have two cameras up here. When you come in and push, what you want to do is bend just so slightly. And what's going to happen is when you bend, you're going to see these bristles up on top kind of fray up and out. And a lot of people don't teach you this, but you kind of want that. You want these up bristles to fray up and out a little bit when you bend and push. Because what happens is those fraying bristles up there are what's going to create those top of those branches and leaves that just pop off in a way that have little detail, but also poking of light that goes through, which works perfect for distant bushes here. Because remember, these bushes shouldn't have a lot of detail in them. There should be gaps and parts that you can't fully see and define. So I would use a lot less paint as you're pushing in to create those background bushes, okay? Then you can apply your highlight and whatnot on top of it in the exact same way. I would also feather out your watermark just a little bit because it's in the background. And don't be afraid to add like multiple watermarks if you're going to create this like cove. For example, like it looks like there's a little bit of a cove here. So you'd put like one thin line and then you can do like 1, 2, 3 thin lines. 1, 2, 3 thin lines. It's going to create a nice little cove in this point. And then you can create 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what's going to make this cove curve around in that angle. That's how you have control over your landscape. And then you could feather them out again with a 1-inch brush because again, they're in the background. They don't have much definition. It pisses me off that you look exactly the same. Good genetics, good hair, and I work out a ton. And plus striking out with women, you know, keeps me young because it keeps me trying a lot and a lot and a lot. How's everything been with you, Airstrike? You been doing well, man? I forget where you live at now. We missed you at TwitchCon this year, dude, in Vegas. We dominated. I spent a lot of money. I will never look older. I'll probably start to look older at like 45 or maybe 50. All right, let's talk about the big boy here. Your trees. Your trees actually aren't bad. They have decent shape. The only thing I would probably critique, and this is only going to work when you do practice, is when you push to the center here, you just need to push a little bit harder. Your bristles that come out are actually really, really good because they're creating the defined shape. However, you just need more thickness in the middle. That's going to create the illusion of that trunk. So use the corner of that brush, really push and let those bristles bend and striate out, creating those branches, okay, and those pine needles. So you actually did really good on your shape there. I'm super proud of you. You just need to push a little harder in the center to create that defined shape. Then we have the one part that you're still struggling with, okay? First of all, This is just a massive ball right here, and this is just a massive ball right here. What I would really recommend is when you're creating your planes of where you're going to shape your land, think about the land first before you think about how your bushes are going to work. You're just creating a template. So when you create your template, go, okay, I know I want my bushes to go in this general direction and stop about here. And I want these bushes to go in this general direction and stop here, or the plane, whatever you want to define it as, okay? So how am I going to get there? Well, I want my bushes to go from high to low. I want it to create a valley point. Okay, we've got those two things in mind. So I'm just going to tap in here, slap color, slap color, slap color, slap color, slap color, stop. Let's do the same thing over here. Slap color, slap color, slap color, slap color, slap color, slap color, stop. All right, well, let's fill this in with some general paint. Not much. Okay, there, I did it. Well, let's slap some in here. Slappity slap, and I slap you back. There we go. I filled in my paint. That's just my undertone of color. It's going to be the dark contrasty colors. Now that I got that, you can do a few things. You could have your land sit underneath it if you plan on painting on top of your land. If not, save that step for last. Now we can just do our highlights. Okay, I got to think like a sneaky little bush. Okay, so I know I'm going to put some highlight here because remember, my light source is generally coming from this angle. So I got to light these, highlight from this side, and then highlight from this side. So I'm going to put nice little push here, nice little push here, nice little push here, maybe a nice little push here, maybe here, maybe here, maybe here. And then, just start doing it on this side. Do literally one bush at a time. One bush at a time, and then you could lay in your land. I feel like you try to do... I've been in your situation. You're probably falling a little bit behind in class, and you want fast, okay? And you want fast, and you try to catch up, and you didn't really work at one little bush at a time. The other thing I noticed here is on your painting palette, you have too many different sections of paint, okay? And they're all thin. Thin as in, like, not much thickness of paint to get there. When it comes to make, like, this color and 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 maybe some of this color should all be stacked up into one pile. And what happens here is it's called stacking up. When you scrape that paint and you put it into a pile and you pull it down to where your paintbrush can go through it, you then can now load up your paintbrush in one direction generally. So it's going to give it even distribution like we talked about. Then you can flip it over if you're good and ready. But what I like to do is your mixing palette that you have right here is a great indicator of what's going to go on your canvas. So when you pull through and load up your paintbrush, literally tap and bend, tap and bend, tap and bend. That's also going to help with even distribution. But what you're going to notice is on the end of your paintbrush is all these little whipped peaks are going to be on the end of it. That's how you know you're going to get great pressure and great results when you go up to your canvas and you push and bend, because you've already kind of prepped yourself here. Plus, you're going to be able to see on your canvas, you're going to see what's on your mixing palette, what it's going to look like. You can even practice on your canvas. Just go pop, 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 pop. Okay, that's what it's going to look like. Reload. Now go to your canvas, go pop, 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 pop. That's all you need to do. Use your mixing palette as like your test run. Okay? Let me get back over here. Other than that, I think you did good, dude. I think you did good. Just a little bit messy, but that's fine. You're starting out. I appreciate what you got going in there. It looks great. You live in Minnesota now. Life has changed a lot since we last spoke. Done landscaping, and now you finally got into an IT job. Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations. It's nice to be out of the dirt. Actually, landscaping is a really good job here in California. I imagine it's probably still a really good job in Minnesota, probably everywhere. I've been good. Just been working a lot, doing my own thing. Not with Anna anymore. I dated a new girl for a while. Now I'm dating again. But other than that, everything's been really good. I think last time we spoke, you were dating like some single mom. It's been that long, man. I don't even know what's going on in your love life anymore. You got to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, one of the two. I don't even know if you have those anymore. You're so out of it. This is really good though. Card Shark, I think you did amazing. Thanks for sharing your art with us. I love it. I think it's a great start for your career in the art world. All right, we got Crowton 67. Is that how you say it? Crowton. This is beautiful. All right, let's move on to this one. Thank you again for letting us take a look. How do we donate? I always get confused. I believe if I'm pointing in the general right direction, it should be over to this side and then slightly down. Near the chat should be a symbol that's like $1 or something like that, or a super chat button, something like that. You can do it that way. You don't have to. I do greatly appreciate it. Or if you want to become a YouTube member, it should also be down and below the video player, generally on the right-hand side somewhere, or within the chat area. I see differently than what you guys get to see. All right, we've got a beautiful painting right here. Okay, this time Ryan's going to remember to duplicate the layer. We've got a beautiful mountain scene, and I love the colors here. We've got like muted blues and purples that makes it chilly, but still clean and crisp in the air with beautiful trees and beautiful plains in here. You're still with her, been for 6 years. Got rid of all my socials, spent way too much time on them, just trying to focus more on life. Hey, I get that, dude. Don't get rid of them all. Get something that we can chit chat and play some games on. Just got to learn to have self-control, my friend. Plus, we need to game it up hard. I've been missing playing games. All right, let's take a look what we got here. First of all, beautiful painting. Love the color choice. Very, it's going to sound like an insult, but it's not. It's very muted with a punch of color. Sometimes having muted tones works really well because it'll make certain things stand out, like the yellows, okay? Or bright spots or particular spots. Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it so much. That is the kindest words. Before all this wonderful alt reviews comes to an end in the appreciation, I want to give thanks to all and all for wild an opportunity to share and learn. I'm glad I could help you out. Oh, no problem. You can always look at the VOD. Hey, what's up, James? It is a Bob Ross style. It's a wet and wet technique. All right, so let's take a look here. So, James, thank you for the sub love. I appreciate it, man. When it comes to the vignette, not just adding more color to create contrast to create a vignette works, but also using different colors. Let me switch over my paintbrush here. Using different, not that. There we go. Also using different colors works. You got the blue up here, and then you use the yellow to focus our eye point down in this general direction as well. Very well done. I love the cascading colors. It's beautiful. It looks great. Your clouds are good too. I love the two-tone that you have going in here. You got some beautiful stark white, which creates a forced perspective that they're closer to us. And then you've got these, I guess I should switch colors. You've got these background muted gray ones, which are beautiful as well, creating different perspectives in multiple planes in the air. Looks fantastic, dude. Looks fantastic. The only critique I would give on your mountains is this one right here. This one, it is in the distance. You did it right by making it a lighter tone or a lighter value, so it gives the illusion that it's back there. But you would also want to add, you have a little bit here, but use a little bit more of this yellow to create the shape of your mountain as it's faded out and across. If you had a little bit more of the yellow here, it would really, really add to the illusion that that mountain is way further back, way further back. You got a beautiful shape here on your mountains. Beautifully done. And you've got a fuck ton of snow in here. It looks like it dumped really hard. Good for snowboarding. The only critique I would give is just, it looks like you did butter, knife, and toast again, is when you're coming down and push, when you get about here, start lightening up on the pressure and fading up and out, and that'll create these beautiful paint breaks that come down into here, creating a darker tone, so that way there's separation between this plane that you're bringing down into here and also the plane of your trees that you're going to have come down in here, so that way when you tap, there's that nice, beautiful, misty layer. But I don't mind heavy snow, but try to work on those paint breaks because you actually got some beautiful ones right here. If you could have had those beautiful ones just up here a little higher, and then here, and then here, and then also right here, you would have a beautiful, beautiful, I don't want to say like cliffside, but like a drop-off side to that mountain that looks beautiful. Oh, thank you for the birthday wish, James. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, the shadows on this are really good. The sky is really good. Your shadow time. Your shadow tones are good. The only critique I'm going to give on your shadow tones is just like we said before, your brush strokes and your palette knife strokes define the shape of things in your world. So the one you have here, it's kind of a weird shape. You actually, for your shadow tone here, want to pull down and away, okay? Down and away. You kind of go a little bit to the left, straight up. Remember, if you're going to have a big drop off like this, you got to reflect it on this side as well, because this mountain's pulling up out of the earth really hard. So think about how you'd pull down and away first. You could do 2 pulls. You could do 1 pull here and 1 pull here. That would be completely fine. That's just going to really help create the illusion of this wicked peak coming out of nowhere. Your tree shapes are fucking fantastic. I actually really love the cluster of trees you have here and the cluster of trees that you got going on your left and right side. The only critique I would have is this tree is perfection. Don't touch it. What I would do, actually this tree and this tree in red are perfect. The only problem you have is they all look mushed together a little bit. So to fix that is we're going to create the illusion of adding different highlights to them. So what I would probably do is if you're going to highlight this tree and you're going to highlight this tree, add a little bit of yellow and yellow ochre just to knock it down a little bit and put on those 2 trees. Then these trees right here, they feel like, to me, they're in front of those other 2 trees we just had highlighted. So I would take just CAD yellow and highlight just the tips and ends of these trees. And that's going to create like one tree is in front of the other illusion, just and have enough differentiation and color to really separate them out. Okay. Now, if you don't have yellow ochre or different colors, use yellow and green. Use yellow and green just on this tree, yellow and green on this tree, then clean your brush off, and then use yellow on just these trees that we mentioned earlier. That'll help a lot to create separate the clusterness of those trees. Your planes are fantastic as you come down and across. See how much more better this looks, chat, by having simplified planes. You just did 3 planes, and it's easy for the eye to focus on and differentiate really well. The only thing I would say for your planes there is just like we said with the last person that we did, don't be afraid to take a little bit of your yellow or whatever brighter color that you want for your planes here, your grassy knolls, and don't be afraid to tap in softly where you think highlights are going to hit on these grassy plains to define shapes and textures and laying of land. You don't have to add much, but trust me, it's really going to help add just that extra little punchy detail that you want, okay? Then when it comes to, I'm not really sure what type of bushes these are. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be frosted bushes or they're transitioning through seasons, but they look good. I'm just trying to think. This cluster right here is your best cluster. It's probably because you did a little bit better pushing. I would say just think about how you shape your brush, for when you push in, and then also don't be afraid to reload. It looks like you ran out of paint here and we're too lazy to add more paint to your paintbrush, or we're too lazy to add more paint to your palette to load up your paintbrush properly. Remember, from here to here to here, we get closer to us. So there should be more defined value at the front than less in the middle and way less in the background. You have the most defined here in the middle, and then the second is here, and then the third is here. So remember, as things get closer to us, they gotta have more defined detail, which means you could add thicker highlights or thicker detail on the closer plane, which would really help with that forced perspective. So remember that. It looks like you just got a little lazy on the foreground for you. Sorry, it's a little hard for the chat to see right there because you could see like you ran out of paint and smeared it, okay? So just remember to add thicker highlights and details on the foreground, less on the middle ground, and way less as you work further and further and further away. I honestly would submit some of my art, but I'm a bit worried as I do traditional. That's fine. We're doing art appreciation as well, James, so feel free to submit. Yeah, you can pay attention to the color value if you want. Color value is a good one. What I was saying, since he kind of kept the same color all the way through, which is completely fine, Dave, is since we'll call this plane 1, plane 2, and plane 3. Plane 3 is the furthest. Plane 2 is the second furthest. Plane 1 is the closest to us. So from our perspective, as you look at anything in the world, the closer things are to you, the more detail you can see. So there should be more defined highlight detail on plane 1, and then a little bit less on plane 2, and a little bit less on plane 3. Now you could add, let's just say, less color, so there's less defined on 3, then a little bit more on plane 2, and then the most on plane 1. Or you could just add really thick highlights on plane 1, medium highlights on plane 2, and less highlights on plane 3. There's multiple ways to do it. It just depends on how you want to achieve the look that you're going for in your painting. Oh, reference to the trees and the highlights. Yes, sorry, I thought you were talking about the bushes, since that's what we were on. Yeah, the color value in theory of what you want to add will help create the separation between the cluster of trees. This looks fantastic, and look at you. Kudos for extra points on doing the shadows and the reflection here. Dope, dude. You know what's the one thing I really want to give you really super kudos on that nobody else will do because they're not as awesome as me? Is this background layer of trees is fantastic. Look at all these little cuts and tree tops. This makes it look so distant, and then you added an extra one by adding another plane right here in front of that cuts in and out, dude. That is freaking fantastic. It looks beautiful. That's actually right there is the most OP professional thing I've ever seen. You did fantastic on that. You should be super stellar proud of that. Good job, dude. You should be able just to drop it in. I think the Dropbox will take care of everything else. Alrighty, let's go on to our next one here. Next one was Tally's. I think we did Eddie's, right? Yeah, let me drop Eddie in there. Oh, we got a Jaguar one here. Oh my god, this looks like oil pastels. I'm not really sure. This is amazing. I don't know whose photo this is, or sorry, I don't know whose image this is because it's just files labeled as full size render. That's right. Maybe that is your name. Oh, did I not do yours? Okay, sorry. Let me move it back out of the folder really quick. I thought we did do yours. Whoops. Eddie. There we go. My fault. We'll get yours next. This one I won't be able to give too many critiques on because I don't do Jaguars, but I love looking at what you guys create here. So whoever this is, it looks like the bottom right-hand corner is traits, or maybe T-Bates, maybe T-Bates. How much for another custom wild painting? I sold everything. I've got nothing left in my house, Airstrike. I sold 16 plus paintings at TwitchCon. I think I actually sold 18 paintings, 18 original art paintings, which sucks because I had 2 left here that I left at my house. They were acrylic flows that I didn't have space to keep them or take them, but I got nothing. Unless you wanted a black and copper acrylic flow painting. At least I think that's what I have left. So this is awesome. Whoever this is, you did a fantastic job. To me, it looks like it's a multimedia painting? I don't know. It looks like it's done with oil pastels. It's really hard to tell because it looks like there's also a little bit of impasto in there because I can see some striation marks, but those also could just be the cluster up from the pastels, like right in here. Like you'd see like drag lines and stuff like that done with some texture on it. So I'm going to assume it's oil pastels, but I really don't know. But this is beautiful. I do not have the ability to do anything like this. So I'll just give some fun critiques that I see. I love the background gradient that you have going from the pink and blue down to the aqua in the corners. I think it plays well with his under fur skin, kicking up on this bottom side here because it kicks the color up onto the white fur. I love the details and the proportions done in the face. I would probably add just a little bit more detail in these ears. That comes out. Eye line is perfect from what I can see. The nose is good. And I love the paw sides too that you have coming down in a cross that you have. This is beautiful. Whoever T. Bates is in the community, you did a fantastic job. I would love to see the reference photo so that we had something to compare it to and against. But this is good. This is fantastic. I would also love to know the medium. To me, it looks like pastels, like oil pastels. The only reason I'm taking that assumption is the way that some of these drag marks are done in here. But oh man, even when I get closer now these look like paintbrush strokes on some, like these dabbings right here of like these brush strokes that are pulled in a way. Now it looks like oil color, like dry oil color. Or sorry, acrylic. Like look at all these little dab marks. I love it. This is what is so cool about painting when you come free and loose. Thank you for that $2 don't know airstrike. I appreciate it so much. I need that $2 for when I kick your ass in Rocket League. I haven't played Rocket League in like years, dude. I've been playing Apex Legends. I don't know if you play that, but you have to get on one day. I submitted something for context, basically an outfit reference thing I made. Oh, nice, cool. I will grab some more here at the end. So T-Bates, this is beautiful. Thank you for allowing us to take a look at your work. The only other thing I would do is I'd add one specular highlight in the eye and one specular highlight in the eye. That's the only advice I'd give. Oh wait, it makes those eyes nice and fierce and piercing, like they deserve to be. Alrighty, let's go to our next one here. We got Eddie. Eddie, let me drop you in here, buddy. Oh, Stephanie, thank you for the love that you got there. I appreciate it as well. All right, let's duplicate this layer really quick before I switch back and over. There we go. You guys are being so kind to me on my birthday. I'm gonna have so much liquid courage to go dance with girls and strike out. Airstrike, you're gonna love what I'm doing for my birthday. I'm going to an 80s cover band near my house, which they play fantastic movies, fantastic music. I'm going with a good crew of people, and this bar is nothing. You guys would love it. I live in Orange County, California, the mecca of beautiful people all around. Thank you, Stephanie, for the $9.99. You are awesome. I appreciate the love that you give, and thank you for supporting the community. The cover band's awesome. The two types of girls that are there, you'll love. It's all cougars between the ages of like, we'll be generous here, between 40 and 60. All smoking hot. It's awesome. Or it's girls between the ages of 25 and 35 with guys that are like 55 plus that are just sugar daddies. It makes for such good watching, people watching. And then I just dance with my little moves that I do. And I look good. On a school day, bro, I know. It's not a school day for me. It's my birthday. I got today off. Hey, what's going on with you, Lego Mania? So let's take a look at this painting. This is done from Eddie. Eddie's got a nice little blue sky with our clouds and our mountains coming down, our trees, and our bushes. So it looks like we got some issues here with paint application and pressures and just learning how everything goes with on your paintbrush. So let's see what we can help. Overall, your sky's good. You bring a beautiful gradient down and across right to here, and you stop some of your horizon. However, your mountain should be starting up here. You're squishing the bottom of your landscape too much, okay? So sky is good. Just start your horizon up here, and then your mountain should be a little bit more up here to help balance out the painting, so that way your bottom foreground, your bottom 1/3 isn't smushed. Your clouds, not bad. I would probably blend in the bottom a little bit more to anchor them a little bit more into your sky, but you've got these beautiful defined tops, which I really like. So all in all, good. Just blending out the bottom so that way they don't look like squiggle marks. It looks like you took your fan brush. Ooh, look at that emote. I was gonna say emotion. Thank you for the 5 donations of gifted memberships to the channel. Thank you so much. Oh, this is probably gonna go off 5 times in a row here. I'm so bad with setting up my own shit. I'm so lazy. AM, Dennis, Tiffany, and Weapon Fist, and Charles, thank you so much for all now becoming YouTube members. I appreciate it so much. My goal, I don't think I'll get to it, but I think I usually hover around like 50 YouTube members. I would love to hit 100. I don't know why. It's a personal goal. I doubt I'll hit it by the end of this year, but I would love to hit it by next year. But if anybody's thinking about being generous out there, that's one of my goals. We'll hit it next time. Thank you so much for the dono of gifting of the subs. Thank you for the happy birthday, brother. I appreciate it. Right back at you. So going back to it, we got one more going off. It's going to go ring. No? Did I miss it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Nailed it. is when you do your whipping with your fan brush here, just remember to think like a cloud. It looks like you kind of just did like a zag, a zag, a zag, a zag, a zag. Think about how you want to shape your cloud. Like if I started here, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to whip up, whip, 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 come down. And I want my cloud to come up in this way and come across. That way I have something to work with. It looks like you want whap, 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 which isn't wrong, but think about your outside edge when creating that cloud. Your mountain, not bad. You got a good, decent shape. The only critique I'm going to have is the same one we did with the last guy. Is scratch in your template line here of where you want your highlights and shadows to go, okay? That's going to help your eye visualize where you need to put your highlights, like we just talked about, just like this, and where you want to put your shadow, dude. So that way everything just becomes easier to define as you're painting it in and out. And that's going to help you a ton. It's going to be really easy for you to visualize. Looks like you have issues with your painting of your pressure on your palette knife. Quite okay. Recommend take your 2-inch brush, pull as much paint as you can off when you're pulling down your mountain, then take a shop towel, wad it up into a nice little ball or a nice little square, and rub off that excess paint in there so that way it exposes that toothing. So when you take that knife across, it goes catch, 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 catch. And that's what's going to create those beautiful little paint breaks in there, okay? You actually have a decent idea of how you want to shape your mountain. You just need to shape it more with the highlights, or sorry, with the shadow side, so it makes everything else stand out. Okay? All in all, not bad. I would probably say you'd have an easier time creating your shadows on your mountains, creating your mountain shape, if you used a darker gray or a darker black for the base tone. So that way everything stands out more and it's easier for your eye to focus on certain stuff. Your tree line's a little wonky. I feel like it's because since you pushed so much of your landscape down, you're feeling the pressures of trying to fit everything in, which we've already resolved. Move your mountain up. That way you have more space to paint everything down here. Keep your line straight if you can. Generally, things in nature will grow to where your sun is. So you've established that your sun is up here. So try making your lines more or less as straight as you can. They can be at different heights, obviously, because some things get more nourished than others. But think about that when you're creating that in there. Then tap out the base of your tree line. What that does is not only is it going to create a nice little misty layer, but it removes the excess paint. So when you put this paint layer here, it's going to be able to stick. Looks like you had issues sticking, obviously. Fade out your water lines from the back, and then do less fading as you come closer to us. That's going to help define them. Now, the big problem here is trees and bushes. This is all just a mud mixing exercise, okay? So don't feel bad about what I'm going to say, but you need to have a really good visualization of what you want to do for when you apply paint. And it looks like you just tried too much too quick. Since this is an exercise, I would paint this again. I would make your trees way bigger. I would start them up here, and then that, since we moved everything up, they would end like here-ish. And all you need to do is get a little bit of like that Gamblin solvent-free gel or a little bit of linseed oil, whatever you want to use. Thin up that paint just a tiny bit, mix it in there nice and good. So that way that paint's just a little bit more flowy. And you really just need to learn to tap down in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Create that template that comes down. And it's not going to look like much, but you're like, okay, now I have a visual. Now I can start tap, 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 and then just work from there, okay? That's going to help you a ton. Then you're going to have more separation between your bushes and your trees. And just like with the last person that we did, Eddie, you want to think about, how do I want my bushes to come down and across, okay? That's going to help you visualize. Again, just throw in the basic shape of what you want and the basic shape of what you need. So that way your eyes can visualize what's going to be needed. And then you can fill in the gaps by putting in highlights. And for your highlights, make that paint extra creamy. So that way when you do push with your paintbrush, those bristles are going to bend and everything can easily stick. It's just like what we talked about with the last person. Pull your paint down on your palette, tap it in so it's got even distribution. Make sure it's got a little bit of whipped peaks on your paintbrush, or a little bit of indentations on your paintbrush, and also see what's happening on your palette. Tap in. Are there little peaks being made? Are there gaps? If so, that's going to be perfect because that's what's going to apply to your canvas. Doesn't take much pressure, but it will take multiple efforts and multiple tries. Do like 2 bushes, then wipe the paint off, pull the paint clean, go back and reload. It's going to take a lot more paint than you think, but it's not going to take as much pressure as you think. Okay? Be back in a few if I'm still on. Happy birthday, brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, we do need to play Rocket League. I got to get your contact information. I guess reach out to me on an email or something and I'll grab it for you. Email information's in my YouTube and we'll figure it all out together. All in all, not bad. I would say really paint this again. Oh, and Tiffany, or no, wait, did I miss Tiffany? No, I missed Nikki. Nikki said happy birthday. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. I would paint this again. Think about how you want to shape the tops of your clouds. Move the landscape up with your mountains so that we have more space on the bottom. Then figure out the visual template for your mountains. Get that lighter pressure done. Then work on that tree line. Then make your trees bigger so you can practice those. And then highlight the appropriate sides. Then work a basic template in for your bushes of laying your land. Then step back, see how it's laid, and then highlight to where it needs to be highlighted at. And then, my friend, you'll have an awesome painting. I really say paint that one again, Eddie. Paint that one again because I think you'll be amazed with just those little basic tips how everything will look. Is that a WV logo in my chair? It's a fantasy lab, whatever their logo is. I don't know. It looks like it's an insignia of. Oh, you know what? I think Fantasy Lab is owned by Killer Bee, so I think it's supposed to be like the face of like a bee, if I remember correctly. I know. Can you believe it's been 6? It might even be longer than 6 years, actually. All right, we've got. Next up, we've got Little Red Made with Ink. Oh, I think this is the person that said they did theirs in ink. I forget who that was. Please let us know in chat. I'll be stoked for you. Let me get a little bit of water here. Switch over the scenes. Thank you, Eddie, for allowing us to take a look at your art. That's awesome. I love to see where everybody's going with their art and what they're doing. Let me duplicate this layer. Move in a little bit. There you go. You can see everything. They said this was done in ink. Acrylic ink? This looks like watercolor or gouache. Or I guess it could be ink. You could do ink and then you can dilute it with waters and different mediums to create these different effects and blooms. This ink is cool. Are you familiar with the golden ratio applied to art? I'm going to experiment and apply this to my next painting. I got to pull your chat to the front. There we go. I'm blocking. You made your own Fibonacci calipers? It's all about the joy of painting. Hell yeah. I do know about the golden ratio. Golden ratio, generally when I've heard it applied, is always within the stock market or within shells or within nature. But yeah, do experiment. It's always kind of cool how people have different things that they do and want to experiment with. You should always experiment. You never know what you're going to find. It's going to work or not work for you, you know? Rebecca, this is you. This is beautiful. I love the Little Red Riding Hood idea that we have going on here. Now, you say ink. What kind of ink? I'm very curious because it looks like watercolor, gouache, or acrylic inks to some degree if they were watered down. But of course, it could just be regular ink that you pen in here. But this is beautiful. I love the tops of the trees that cascade down and have the nice contrast between the red to the white to the stark red of our Little Red Vixen down here. I love the cascading of colors that come down as well. The only critique I would have of it is I think your painting here, your masterpiece, could accelerate within value is if you had a little bit highlighter sides or darker sides. I'm going to assume our light source... Can I click on this? Why is my paintbrush not coming up? Hello, paintbrush. There we go. It was delayed. I would assume your light source is back here behind the trees because the trees are silhouetted, obviously. But what you could do is, depending on where your light source technically is in your mind, is you could add a little bit of a lighter side on the inside of your trees and just a little bit of a darker side on this side. And just keep that idea going as you pull your trees from the center out with your ink. So you'd have a little bit of white on the inside and a little bit darker on the outside. That just creates the illusion that that light source is kind of coming through the trees and kicking on to certain particular parts there. Other than that, I've got nothing. I think this is fan-freaking-tastic. I love it. I love the different splatter and blooming marks that are going on within the colors here. And I really, really, oops, that's not zoom. This is zoom. I really love the design and aesthetic of your little Red Riding Hood. The only other thing I would probably add, I'm not good at it because I don't know how to do this shit, is just a little bit of a shadow tone underneath her, because obviously she's being illuminated from some light source. But other than that, it is acrylic ink. I was right on something. I put water down first to get the texture on the tree. That's beautiful. I think it's fantastic. You just renamed the file Davis's Fourth. Okay, cool. Thank you. I don't have a Discord server. I actually hate Discord, to be honest. Everybody had Discord when it first came out, and I was also on that bandwagon. But then it just became the new Facebook, where everybody made you join their Discord and do this and that and check in all the time. And to be honest, I like doing this. If I want to talk to you, I'll be more than happy to answer comments and questions in my within my YouTube channel, because other people might have the same question and see it, so it can help them. But once I'm kind of done, I'm done. Like, after this stream, I'm going to go do my own shit. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm attached to Discord to always be around for people when they need me. I like to have what I do and then separate everything, you know? I like to have my own balance in life. But I have had requests multiple times to do Facebook and have like a Facebook group, which I would consider, because I can actually separate that out and then other people can talk and share their art. So maybe for 2024, I will form a Facebook group. I kind of did and then didn't do anything with it, but that might be a little bit easier for people. I got nothing really against Discord. It's just a lot of work. Or it's not even a lot of work. It just takes a lot of your time if you want to put time into it. And I don't want to. I like to have my time. I like spending this time here with you all, and you get all of me in this moment, so feel free to ask whatever you want. And then when I'm done, I'm done. It's Ryan time, which is usually just watching Netflix. So this is awesome. So thank you, Rebecca, for letting us take a look at it. This is beautiful. I would love to see more of your art in the future. This is fantastic. I'm assuming the inspiration is Little Red Riding Hood, but I could be wrong. All right, we got our wedding one next. And this is going to blow your guys' mind. Oh, thank you, Praybird. I appreciate it. It's been a good year. It's been a good year. I just thought about putting a shadow under here, but I didn't want to mess it. No, I wouldn't mess it up. I'm just saying for next time, if you do anything like that, don't forget a little bit about that undertone, that little shadow. It helps cement them in the plane of reality. So this is beautiful. I won't be able to critique this because this is beyond my scope. Why can't I zoom in? I swear this is going slow. It's the Photoshop beta one I'm using now, but I love it. This is beautiful. Liveweddingpainting.png. I forget who said they did this one. If you're still in the chat, you've got talent beyond talent. I'm sure this is probably a commission piece for somebody's painting, which they're going to love and enjoy this based off a photo, I'm sure, from the wedding. These people are going to love it. I love everything about this. You got beautiful tones in here. You've got beautiful casting of colors. The coolest part about this is the groom made the best decision to wear a baby blue color, because our focal point, other than, I forget what you call the flowers that go on an awning or in a circle. There's a word for it. I'm sure somebody would correct me. Other than this being a focal point, because they're obviously encapsulated within the circle of shapes, his blue here just creates a focal point right to him, which is great. So whoever composed this shot knew what they were doing and has everything standing out very good. I honestly can't give you too many critiques here because I don't know what the photos of the references of everything. I would say there was probably a nice little overcast day of the sunlight hitting down onto the water, so it's probably supposed to be that type of white and whatnot. I feel like it could probably accelerate from a little bit of blue either in the sky or in the water, just to give it a little bit of pockets of color to give the eye a little more something to stand out against. But this is fantastic. You got everything. The moss hanging down is beautiful. Whatever the word is for the flowers looks great. Just your shading on top of them looks fantastic as it comes all the way across. Like I can even see the blush on her cheeks going down, the transition under her neck for the shadow going into the collarbone, to her back, onto the arm, the highlights and the specular highlights on the back of his jacket. You've even got the flap going in and out, and then just the train of the dress going down and through. Everything looks fantastic. You even got little details on the cobbles and the rocks and the stones down there in the walkway. This is fantastic. This is beautiful. This is true talent, and you should be amazed. Everyone here is amazed at the beautiness that you have. I can't do people. I can't. I can do like nude figures, but I can't do people. People don't really excite me as much because I deal with people all day. I love landscapes. That's what I really love. But this is fan-frickin-tastic. I would love to see the photo and the painting in a compare and contrast, because this is just stunning beyond belief. So whoever did this, I know they were here earlier. Oh, was it? Oh, event painting by Julie? Julie, talents beyond talent. What the hell is the name of the flower arrangement that goes on, like the pergolas and stuff? There's a word for it, and it's driving me crazy now. I'm going to be sleeping later tonight and wake up and be like, rah, 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 and just yell it. Somebody can correct me, and I hope they do if I haven't seen it already. This is great. This is great. I have a friend that I met years ago, Julie, that paints in... Well, spiderweb just flew out of nowhere. It's a floral arrangement, but there's... I could have sworn there's a word for when it's on an arch or an arc or an awning. There's like a word for it. But either way, floral arrangement will work for me for now. I have a friend that does paintings at weddings during the ceremony process only. He'll get there like an hour early, and then he paints templates in the background. And then when the bride and groom come down, whatever, the walkway, and then do the ceremony, he finishes off the painting. And it's fantastic. He does it in oil, so they're more abstract, because you can only do so much in 45 minutes. But it's awesome. He does them live at the event, and then when they're doing whatever you call like photos after the ceremony's complete, he then puts his final details, and then he moves the painting into wherever the reception hall is, and then he puts like a protective barrier around it, and then that's like the gift, and it's cool. He does it like within 2 hours, and he makes a butt ton of money doing it. And that's what you do. You paint in 6 hours. See, that's awesome. You have a great talent. You could make a killing out here in California. I could be your manager. This is beautiful. I love what you did. Thank you so much for sharing your talent. I'll have to take a look at all your other stuff one of these days. Alrighty. I love all this art appreciation. Thank you guys so much for sharing your art. This makes me so happy to see all the beauties that you got in here. Ooh, my dad would love this one next. We've got a McLaren. Now this one is labeled Damos. Is it Damo? Yeah, I think it's D-A-M-O. Let's duplicate this layer. It's a ceremony arch. Okay, I'll take that. I could have sworn there's a word. Why is that? Oh, whoops. Zoom in. Now I can move. Wait, why is this? This one's being funky. It won't let me move it over. There we go. Photoshop beta is weird sometimes. It's weird. All right, this one is Damos, and this is the back end of a McLaren. That's about all I can tell you, other than McLaren's generally a one-seat car. This is beautiful. Another one. Trellis. I think trellis was the thing, but I think a trellis is just the basic word for the archway in the ceremony without flowers. But arbor is cool, and trellis is the word I was thinking of. But thank you. Thank you, guy. I knew that was going to bother me. This is beautiful. This is obviously a McLaren going down an expressway or a track or something like this. I don't know what this is done in. It might be done in oil. It's a little hard to tell. It looks... I honestly can't tell. It looks like it's got some dry brush stroke marks in it at some places, but it also looks like it has wet ones. So too bad Damo's not here to let us know. It's good. The proportions of everything is immaculate. It looks very well done. You got the shadow tones and everything going on underneath it. The only critique that I noticed right off the bat of it is, since this is a photo in motion, your plane right here of our foreground is going to be a still image, provided that the photo reference that you're using was shot at a high shutter speed. But if it's not, and you're trying to show motion, you want to blur out aspects of it that would be outside the focal plane. Okay? A Pomander? What is that, a Pokemon? I mean, that could be it. If you're trying to show motion, you have to have things that are blurred in the background, which you did right here, which is great. It gives the effect that this car is zooming down the road in this angle. However, I would love to see the photo reference. I would assume that this plane right here in the background would also have to be a blurred motion to some degree, also falling in the same zoom plane of these angles. So in my opinion, I think this should have been blurred out to also match the background here. Is the only critique that I would have for Damos here. Other than that, it looks beautiful. You got beautiful reflections and striations. Like, you even have the road reflection going in through the back end rear fenders here, which is great. And you got the specular highlight coming on the back end of the car. It would have been cool if, since there's one here, I feel like there should have been one up here, or maybe kicking on the fin of the rear spoiler down here. But you got beautiful, beautiful everything here, dude. Hey, what's up, DJ Dragon? Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. I appreciate it. This looks fantastic. You can also, I don't know how to do this. Now, I'm not good at this. I just know my friends can do this. Is, since wheels, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Since wheels rotate, you have to add a little bit of blur in the direction that the wheel is rotating. So that way it looks like there's motion happening within there as well. You did a pretty good, decent job, because you made the spokes, or whatever the rim part would be, thicker, because obviously there's movement, so it's less detailed. But you may just want to add a little bit of swirl in there. Other than that, this is you guys are showing such cool shit today. This is awesome. Alrighty. What's our next one we got here? You guys are showing so many cool things. Oh, let's get that one out of the way. We have, if I can get on my folder here, we have Snow Trail. Now, I don't know who did Snow Trail, but this is an oil painting here. Let's move that over to the side here. There we go. Snow Trail is definitely an oil painting that I can see here. This looks like it was done on a smaller canvas. I'm only assuming that because it looks like it's a square canvas. But we got a nice faded muted landscape here with some yellow and what looks to be almost like a dark blue-green background. And then our trees, a nice little nestled cabin in here, and our snow plains that come down into here. Now this is pretty cool. I like this. I like some simplistic ones. The only thing I would have here is I would probably darken up my ends a little bit. You kind of did, but you could have pulled it down a little bit more so it creates the focal plane down into this awesome path and then towards our little cabin here. You're having issues with sticking on color, and it's easy to see. So my advice to whoever this is for Snow Trail is leave the color the way that you have here, but take a nice little 1 or 2 inch brush and pull this up so that way these trees fade into the background, and they're just little hints of color that our eye can fill in. The trees in the foreground-ish that you want, you need to use a creamier, more flowy paint. Take some Gamblin solvent-free gel, take some liquid, take some linseed oil, whatever you got there within your toolkit, and add it to your paint and mix it up so you get a nice little creamy texture. So that way when you go in and tap, it's going to come right off that paintbrush. It looks like you're fighting your bristles and you're fighting your paint and you're fighting your brush strokes a lot within the tops of your trees and as you come down. What I would recommend, it's very hard for me to explain this on a Photoshop because I don't have an actual paintbrush to show. But as you work down your tree, just really consider making a template. You don't have to nail the tree the first time. You don't have to be Bob Ross or Bill Alexander. Just go down and out, 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 down and out. And keep repeating that process till you get your tree where you want. You're like, well, that looks funky. Well, now when I go back in here and I rework my tree with where I want it to be, it's going to have a thicker trunk. And then I can work on the branches and kind of go out and go out and go out and work 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 and work. And then I can work the other side. I can work the other side. And then before you know it, you're going to have a tree that takes a lot better shape as it comes down and through. And that's all you need to do. I feel like you went really fast and you started working in things and you're like, all right, well, that was one tree, on to the next. You don't have to do that. Sit at one tree and get it to where you want it to be, okay? And it's really going to help using that flowier paint, that creamier paint that's going to come off of your paintbrush. Sorry, my phone was going off there. And then when you get down to your planes for where your cabin is, you just got to scratch it off and really use that template of the knife. Again, when it comes to working in cabins, if you're still new to cabins, make your cabin about 2 times bigger than this, because you're not going to have enough room for mistakes. When you have enough room for mistakes, you have an easier time correcting mistakes. So I would make this cabin probably start up here, then come across, bring that awning down, be a little bit bigger, then you come across, and whatnot. That goes over here. Maybe your cabin comes down, and boom, boom, you get your little tree, and that goes off there. When you have a little bit more space, you have a lot more room to fix a lot of stuff on it, okay? It'd be a lot easier. So that way when you break snow and come down, you can feather a lot more and have a lot more room. That's just it's not going to look as natural in there, but you're going to get a lot more confidence building what you want correctly. Then you can bring the planes down and across and really create that level of realism in there. The only other piece of advice I'd have is you've got this really cool trail that's coming down through here. Maybe it's a frozen lake or it's a trail, it's whatever you want, that's going across and down this way. Take a little bit of this yellow color and add it down and in here. Add just little pieces of it. That's going to make it look cool. You just add little blips in here. So that way it looks like little peaks and valleys are catching some of the sunlight that's coming down and across. And then you can feather it in whichever direction you want. You can feather it up this mountain. You can feather it up this walkway path. And it's just going to give that a little extra depth and dimension into this painting. Okay? But you just got to work on having a better paint that works for you and your paintbrush going forward. And that's it. It looks like a paper towel could help you a lot too, because you could wipe off this extra layer down here and then stick paint on top of it. But other than that, it's a good painting. You just need to work on those little extra little tidbits to make it pop and work a little bit easier for you. We've all been there where paint doesn't stick. I still get there sometimes and it pisses me off. All right, we got Spiritual Sunset next. And then I got time for a few more. Then Ryan's got to get a little bit of food. I think I'm going to go to this little breakfast spot near my house and get a chili and cheese omelet. I'm going fat style here. Oh my God, whoever did this painting is beautiful. I love the colors. I'm already in love with this one. Already in love with this one. So we've got a nice painting here with beautiful colors cascading off from our sun source here, from yellow to orange to pink to purple to blue and even into the grays, and the water and the movement is just so beautiful. And I love the sandy beaches here. Beautiful, beautiful colors, whoever did this one. Spiritual Sunset. I love the clouds. I love the clouds. I love the movement, and I love the free movement in it that you've got going in every source here. The only critique that I can give on the clouds and in the sky is, switch over here. Since we've defined our light source here, your highlights would also have to come on the underside of some of these clouds. So don't forget that. You've got everything else situated perfectly. I can already tell you're right-handed from the way that you form these. Like these clouds got highlights on top. These ones have them on the right-hand side and coming across. And even this one has it on the right-hand side and coming across. Super beautiful. Just remember, since the light source is kicking up in this way, you have to put some highlights on the bottom side there. That balances it out. I love the cascading of colors that you have coming down that are reflected from the sky into your water, and even the specular highlight from the sun. Remember, as your light source gets further and further away, just like you did on this corner, there's less light reaching to those points. So this technically should be a little darker over here. So you may want to, if you do this painting again or paint something similar to it, remember to add a little more darker tones or contrast in there because less light is reaching over to those further points, okay? I know the reason why you probably didn't add it is because you silhouetted out here, so it wouldn't stand out as much, but you can always feather those little contrast parts down and out just so they stick out. I love your rock. Your rock can just use a little more shadow tone on this side. You've got a nice mid-tone, but don't be afraid to add, even just for your shadow side, you can do a cool little trick and add just a little bit of water spraying down in with a script liner brush. Had to think about that word there. Your waves look good. I like how they're pulling up and in. Create a nice little contrast. I love the water. Don't forget to add a foamy spot in front of your rock that cements it in the water right there. The only other critique I would have is, let's zoom in right here, is since you have water rushing in just like this, you added a little bit, but don't forget to add a nice little foam layer. When water rushes in, it rushes out, and when water rushes in generally from strong movement, it has foam in it. It has all these little foam particles. And when that goes in, that foam sits on the wet sand line and leaves these little marks of how water comes in. So you just want to take a little script liner brush and just leave those little foam marks in, and then you can take a nice little flat or dagger brush and pull it slightly back. And that's going to create that beautiful little gloss look that happens naturally on the water side. You did a little bit like right here, but that's just the one thing I think you could add that would really take your painting to the next freaking level. Your rocks look good. You highlighted the appropriate side, and you didn't eliminate all your contrast. You left some of this black, which is great. Fantastic. Hey, what's up, Artie? How you doing there today? And I feel like this is one plane. I feel like you probably could make it two, just because I'm not really sure how this fades in. So I would probably make this plane with your yellow on it there, and then make this one come down and across is the only other critique, which means you'd probably have to add a little bit of white highlight up here just to separate the two planes and whatnot. And your little cattails look perfect too. Very good. Very good. This is fantastic. Thank you for the happy birthdays, Artie. I have your images. The only problem is I'll just show them from the Dropbox side. Since you take your photos, I'm assuming from an iPhone, you don't have them set into a PNG or JPEG format, which I don't have the extension that reads on Photoshop, but I'll be able to show them. So the only other advice I'd give is if you want to do anything, social media-wise, Photoshop-wise, marketing-wise, print-wise, you're going to want to convert your phone over to take photos in those file formats that are easy to change within the camera settings of your iPhone, just to let you know, unless you have the extensions that can be read on your computer for converting over later. This is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, whoever did Spiritual Sunset. That was one of my favorite ones for today, for sure. All right, and I got the last one here in my folder before I got to go back and grab some. This is another beautiful one. We got some great ones in here. You find it hard to take a picture of a black canvas in oil because the lights of my house reflect the cell phone enhancing. Yeah. The best answer for that is using a polarizing lens that can go on top of your iPhone. Easily affordable off Amazon from anywhere from $5 to $25, depending on how much you want to spend. The other thing you can do is don't take a photo with the lights on the inside of your home. You want to look for the softest, most natural light you possibly can. So by a window that's cascading into a white room, it's going to create a lot of soft diffused light that you can take on top of your photo, or outside on a nice cascady, cloudy day works really well. You just got to figure out angles from there, so that way it's not reflecting anything or you're stuck in the reflection of your photo. This one we have is the Card Guy. Did we already do one from Card Guy? Can't remember. If not, this one's from Card Guy. Let's duplicate the layer. This is awesome, dude. I love this huge, huge, thick tree trunk right in the foreground and the broken down one laying down on almost what looks to be blocking a river ravine or something like that, or a pathway. That's dope. I love the little textures and ideas that you've got going on in here. First of all, this is immaculate. This is immaculate. The only critique I would have, it looks like you're working on a Master's Touch canvas. I am assuming, because it looks like you have rounded edges up here on your canvas frames, and you can see where the paint kind of stops. If you have rounded edges, you want to just make sure you take the paint over the top of those rounded edges, so that way the viewer's eye doesn't see a defined stopped area. Just gonna really, really help. You don't take it far, just like literally like a little tap around the corner. Just helps out, because I can see like where the paint stops a little bit in certain areas. But other than that, beautiful. I love the cascading of colors. The only advice I would probably give is, if I converted this painting to grayscale, is there's a mishmash of colors back here that could probably use a little more gappage between them. Let that blue sky shine through, and also probably have a little bit of a lighter color, because some of this color is the same as this color, which is a little bit some of the same of this color. They're just a little too close. You get away with it because you have such good forced perspectives here. Like, this perspective forces this perspective to be away, which forces this to be away, which forces that to be away, which forces that to be away. You've got a great eye for perspective and detail, so good job. I would just have a little bit of differentiation and color value between some of the planes. Like, I'm not actually sure what's going on here. Like, I don't know what plane this is sitting on for this tree. I feel like maybe this plane should have continued across somehow. Like, this should have continued across to here, and then this breaks down into there, maybe? I'm not sure. There's something a little lost with where this tree is sitting at. Other than that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Your your barn is great. Your rocks, fantastic. I love the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. I love the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows of your trees. You could probably have a little bit better leaves sticking. Looks like you had a little bit of non-paint sticking here. So that's the only other critique I could have, is maybe let that tacky up and just add a little bit more on top of it, just to really define it. You've been painting for 11 months. This paste was made with Bob Ross oil paints, liquid white on the top half and dry on the bottom. It shows. It looks fantastic, dude. It looks fantastic. Probably explains why you were having paint sticking on top of here, because you had a lot more wet layers on top of it. So I would say just let that tacky up to where it gets to more of that traditional side, and go back and add on top of it, and it'll look fantastic. Your reed whips are beautiful. These are stunning, my friend. Stunning. The only thing I would probably say that you could probably do is you could probably add one or two that stick out from behind your trunk of your tree, just to make it look like that trunk is actually sitting on some of that grass. But I can tell why you didn't do it as much, because it creates this nice little separational layer. But just something to think about when you go forward. I absolutely adore this trunk. I love the blue that's cascading off from the light source. That could be a reflection point here, or a reflection point from the sky. I love the transition of the colors that come all the way across. I love how you left shadows and highlights and specular highlights, because your light source is cascading from this way. It looks fantastic, dude. Fantastic. And I love how you created a little vignette points from the bottom sides leading into this side right here. The only other critique that I would probably give, a little hard for me to say because I don't know if this is referenced off a photo, like saying photo, is your light source is coming from left to right, which we've established here. So light may be kicking inside to the tree trunk here, but I feel like this should be a little bit darker as we get in there, because light isn't entering it as much. And also there should be a little bit darker underneath your tree trunk, because there is no light reaching under the underside there. And your path would go from dark to lighter as it's reaching out from your tree trunk. And that's it. And you may want to add a little bit of, like, I don't know, rock or striations on top of there, some thicker paintbrush strokes to add like there's some cobblestone or some rock breakpoints in there. But dude, that is fucking fantastical. Fantastical. I love it. The light hitting the tree trunk is fantastic. This is one of the best, no joke, this is like my favorite tree trunk I think I've seen of all time. I just love the simplistic brushstrokes that go up and down and shape the tree trunk all the way throughout. You could probably, if you wanted to, for the next time you paint it, since there's going to be a footing on this tree that comes down and like that at some point, it's hidden behind these, is obviously you could take brush strokes and shape more of these footings that come up like, I don't know what you call like the veins of the tree, but you could create little more veins. Your tree is not flat. It feels very rounded out, but your tree could maybe, if you want to do it at some point, have like veins of those footings come up. But that's more of an expert thing to work on for next time. Other than that, fucking fantastic, dude. I love it. I love it. And then I don't know in my mind, I don't know if this is a pond or a river pond. You added some water lines in here. You may just want to add, if there's movement in it, just add a little more stark white lines underneath the rocks where there might be movement. That'll pop out a little bit more. If not, if it's just a calm, still pond, then leave it as is. But that's fantastic, dude. I love it. I love it. Super pretty. Super pretty. Okay, so I've got art. I'm probably gonna totally slaughter your name. Astley? I have yours. Let me pull them up because I have to do them from the Dropbox because they're in HIEC mode. And then whoever else's that I missed, let me know and I'll go through them really quick. So let me open up the folder here. Uh-oh. One of your photos likes to be funky on me. Hold on, I gotta reload this. It's probably the file format is probably having an issue. No, exit page. Let me reload. Hopefully I can show these off. Your image 3509 for some reason is like effing up. It like actually shuts down the browser. Hold on, let me try one more time. Let me open up my Dropbox from regular. Art submissions. All right, don't do it this time. God dang it. It's the file format you put in. It doesn't like, Dropbox doesn't know how to load them. Crap. Got it. All right. Maybe I can't show yours. No. Let me give it 1 second to load. It's because you submitted yours in an HEIC file format from the iPhone, and the computer in Dropbox doesn't know how to display that without the extension add-on. Which I don't pay for, because I never use that file format. The car guy, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Looking forward to talking about more about my art. You are the best. Thank you for that $20 dono, which will pop up here momentarily. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing to load, and it won't, because it's a bee. Hold on, I did not mean to close my whole browser there. All right, we'll try one more time. Try one more time here to see if I can get it to load up. If not, we might be SOL on it. All right, art submissions. Let's let that load. Now I'll have to move on to somebody else's. All right, we're gonna click into it one more time. I'm trying to look at them right now. The problem is this is what I see. Hold on, we're right. I need to switch over. This is how your photo loads for me. It's because they're in a file format that it can't comprehend because I don't pay for this extension. HEIC is an iPhone file format which takes really high-res images, and if you're going to work outside of anything outside of iPhone, it just doesn't work well because it's not a file-friendly way of doing things. Thank you for the $20 super chat. I greatly appreciate it. But we can look at your art, I guess, on this. You know what I can probably do is I could probably... Oh, no, I can't. Yeah, see it? And it's going to freeze the system here. But I can see from your photos, they're very, very beautiful. I really want to see this first one, too. All you need to do is you go into your iPhone, you can convert the images over to JPEG or PNG, and that'll be the easiest for you. But see, even like right now, it's timing out my Dropbox because it doesn't know how to display it. So sadly, I won't be able to look at them, or won't be able to look beyond that. So let me grab... Let's see, who else did I miss here? Oh, I got the haunted house one. Let me download that. Oh god, now I gotta download this. Okay, I think I got 2 more that I want to share. Oh no, I got 3 more, I think. But now Dropbox is being a bitch. Okay, I want to want to download this one. There we go. I'm hoping this one downloads. Download that one. And then download this one. All right, we got 3 more that we'll power through really, really quickly. Davis, which one was yours? I just downloaded 3 really quick. I got a beach one. I just lost my file format. I got a beach one, I got a haunted house one, and I got a outfit one. So let's do our haunted house one really quick. This one's so fucking awesome. I love this one. This one's cool. Oh. We've got an awesome haunted house one. Let's get my beautiful mug back up here. Oh, Davis's 4th painting. Okay, that was the other one. Let me grab that one really quick after this. Remind me. We got a beautiful haunted house painting on a black canvas. We got our beautiful moon, our witch riding through the night. We got our background trees, our haunted house over here. Very Tim Burton-esque. Background trees, mid-ground level, our fence. I'm assuming a ghost down here in the bottom left-hand corner. And I may even eye a sneaky cat down here in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm not sure, but this looks good. The only problem I'm really seeing is you have an issue with paint. Oh, it's okay. We can always get it next time. I really want to see them. You just got to convert them over to JPEG or PNG is the only issue. The issue I see here is I think you probably had too much liquid clear medium down, whoever did the haunted house painting. So what I recommend is put on your liquid clear, then take a blue shop towel and wipe off any excess clear very gingerly, so that way you can put the appropriate amount will be left on. Oh, I did not look for the owl. I'll look for the owl in a second. I would say the black cat's down here in the bottom right-hand corner. That guy right there. Your clouds look pretty good. Again, think about defining the outside edge. You did a pretty good job. So when you're whipping in these clouds here, think about the outside edge and how you want to take it across. And I'm super glad that you faded away, because as your light source comes across, there's not as much light. So good job. I would probably feather out the bottom of these clouds just a tiny bit more, but that's just me, just so it looks like there's a gentle grazing of light going down and through the transition of your clouds. Then your background trees are okay. You just got to work more on shape of what you have. All in all, good. Your stick trees are okay, but they need a little more paint on them as you pull up and out. They're a little bit curvy, like S curvy. Don't try to make them too S curvy unless that's obviously what you're going for. Try to work in it's hard to explain, work in kind of like a shake motion with your hand, so that way there's like natural gnarls and bends within your tree. And then I'm assuming this is a grass plane. Think about how you're going to tap in your grass plane as it comes down and across. Where is this little sneaky owl? To me, an owl would be flying or would be in a tree. Nothing's in the windows. Oh, is this supposed to be the owl? I see a little definition of a character right here, but it's a little hard to tell. I'm assuming that's the owl. I can see the small images of them, but since they're loading in properly, they don't work within the Dropbox browser. Yeah, this is great. This is great. I love Paul. Paul's awesome. I love your definition of your house coming down and in. Your fence is great. I would probably work a little more on cascading the land that comes down in the foreground, because it's too broken. It's too broken. You got to figure out how your planes are going to work within your field of whatever this is. I'm not really sure yet, because the rows look like they're going this way almost. I still love it though. And then I love how you have the glow reaching out and onto your bushes. Now I got to assume, is this the owl? This has to be the owl right here, right? That little guy? Yeah, if you reach out on to me on Instagram or Twitter or an email, Artie, I'll be more than happy to show you how to do that. It's really easy. I recommend doing it too, because if you're going to share your photos or images with any other platforms, taking your photos in PNG or JPEG, which can still be done in a high res quality, I recommend converting your iPhone to do that, so that way it's easier for those platforms to play with them. Yes, I nailed it. I like this. This is beautiful. The only thing I would probably give you advice on is, since you're working with so many wet layers, like things like your witch in the air, or your little cat, or even your owl here, is you may want to wait for things to tacky up before you apply those particular layers on top of it, so that Sorry, I guess I accidentally turned off my mic. I was trying to switch you over to the other scenes. Sorry about that. Thank you for catching me. Looking out for my best interest. Well, let me start again. Beautiful little simplistic beach scene here. You've got some nice clouds that have defined outer edges for your clouds as it goes across. Then you've got the undertone of sky poking through, really cementing the clouds in the sky there. Beautiful, beautiful shapes. I love the shapes. It looks like the wind is just pushing these clouds in that general direction. Awesome. Beautiful horizon line. Beautiful cascading of the blue color coming into our waves. The only critique I would give, and my brush is probably going to be too big here, is when you're forming your wave. Whoops. Whoa, how to do that? Is when forming your wave, don't forget to add a little bit of the curl. Use your script liner brush with some thin paint and get that curl motion going up in there. That's how you're going to form your motion of your wave and make everything look good, okay? You can also add a little bit of foam going back in this way, like the wave is pulling it back and across. Why is my Control Z button not working? I must have hit something. I don't even know what I did now. I did something on this file format. I do love the foam. Your perspective of where it's coming in is a little flat. You may want to, rather than make everything, god dang it. Rather than make everything, no. Why is it doing that? Dude, this is weird. Beta, stop acting so weird. I want to switch over to my brush. God dang it. Yes, numeric value. Why is it doing this to me now? Switch. You are on a numeric value. Thank you. There we go. Rather than making your waves all follow this normal like U shape, you may want to consider your wave's going to crash in here. So there would actually be more foam up here as opposed to these back end sides here. So just think about how your wave would crash onto it. You like the ghostly girl in the corner. It's like all my it's like my ex-girlfriends in my life. They all leave me. They ghost me. Sand looks great. Your cattails could probably just use a little more definition. Just looks like you need a little more flowier paint as you bring them up and across. And then you got to think about how you lay the land here. I actually think your land could have just been fine just connecting these two across. It looks like you try to make them have like a little bit of a valley come down in here. No, I've never tried Clip Studio. Might. I used to use another program back in the day, and I forget what it was, and I can't remember what it was. It was a free browser-based program that was pretty awesome, but then they started charging for it, so I switched over to Photoshop. It's just because I'm using the Photoshop beta, which has new issues into it, but it's got a lot of cool things into it that you can do. Like, for instance, if we wanted to put... Let's see if this will work. This will be awesome. Let's put this here. Let's do a generative fill. Let's put sail, first of all. Sail... boat. Generate. Oh, wait, did it just... Oh, son of a bitch. Sail. Boat. There we go. Let's see what it can generate for us. Let's see if it gets one. See if it gets a boat right here on the horizon for us. This is the coolest thing about the beta version of the newest Photoshop. By the way, super awesome to use if you ever get stuck on painting something. Look at that. Let's move this off to the side here. Look how it put two little boats perfectly on the horizon, and that gives you... Oh, I clicked off of it. But it gives you alternatives to use. Just like, look how cool that is. Out of nowhere, you got little two boats on the horizon. That's how you can get inspiration to do cool things. Oh, and it did give me more. Okay, there we go. Look, there's a boat there. Boat there. Look, it gives me all these different ways of putting stuff in there. Isn't that freaking crazy how you can do that now? Boat 1. Boat 2. Can I move this out of the way? No, I guess I can't. Boat 3. Isn't that insane? They look almost pretty legit for like what you want. This gives you ideas on what you can paint. Let's see. Let's do one more here just for fun. Let's put right here. I have no idea if seashells is 2 words or 1 word. Seashells. Enter. Let's see what we get here. Loading, loading, loading. It's one giant seashell. I mean, technically I got what I wanted. I could scale that down though. Let's see what this one is. That one's a bunch of seashells. That one's a like conch shell to some degree. But how funny is that? Isn't that like the coolest thing ever? It's so nice for when you get stuck on how you want to do things. I'll show you guys how to use it for like painting. I use it all the time. Alrighty. I'll try to see if I can get to yours, Artie, because I got to still eat some food. We could probably take a quick glance at them, as long as they're in a different file. Because every time I try to enter that file you put in, it crashes. All right, and this one we got Koshi's. Koshi did like a crayon drawing of some art that they want to do for clothing, which I'm always down to look at. Looks like we've got a nice breast cancer awareness sweater with our, hoodie with our pink, a black tank, and then I'm assuming shorts. And then these are the kind of running shoes I use because I'm super fast. I use my feet to get out of many situations, but cool. Always follow your passions and generate and create cool things when and wherever you can. Now, I think we got one more from Davis here. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Let me go back out of this folder here. We didn't do this Aurora one. We'll take a quick look at that one. And then Davis has got this one. Davis, I don't know if your file is going to open up correctly. It doesn't look like it's generating an image. It looks like it's generating just an icon. And then let's see if I can... I don't know what it is. Isla, for some reason your images don't want to load well on my Dropbox. It just keeps closing Dropbox. You know what we might have to do? I can't do it this time, but maybe send them to me on Instagram and I can download them to my phone and then pull them up this way. That might be the easiest thing. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, Davis, your painting isn't coming through. You know what? I think it doesn't have a file extension on it. That's probably why. Let's put a .jpeg on it. Come on. Yes, I want to change the file format. Aha, Ryan fixed it. I'm a genius. Yeah, just hit me up on Instagram, and then we'll be able to figure it out together. I got nothing going on for today. All right, these are going to be the last two I think I'm going to get here, unless somebody drops something in really quickly. But Ryan wants to go get his food because he deserves it. I mean, it is my birthday after all. And by the way, thank you guys for stopping in here. Thank you for the birthday wishes, the birthday donations, the birthday subscriptions, all the love. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are awesome to me. Alrighty, let's move this over here. So I'm assuming this is a black canvas. We got an Aurora borealis here, and we've got a very dark painting. I imagine you did not put on a base coat of different colors or enough base coat of different colors, okay? It's really cool. I tried using Photoshop for digital art for my job as a book illustrator, but I hated it. Oh, well, Rebecca, on Instagram or Twitter, whatever you have, if you're following me, please send me a DM with that program so that way I remember to take a look at it. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I always love feedback from other people. So when you create your Aurora borealis, you got to put a base tone of color underneath, a transparent color. So that way when you put a brighter color on top of it, it's going to pull that color forward and create those beautiful glows up into the sky here, okay? So that's kind of the one thing that you're forgetting. Like you can see there's a little bit of red, a little bit of green, and a little bit of blue, but you don't have enough pigmentation down for those colors to really pop. The other thing is you may be using a lower quality paint, so you may want to use a higher quality of paint that has more pigment if you really want to get a burst of color. Then you need to create separation between your trees that you have going on here, because since it's black on black, it's not really being as noticed, and they kind of fade into the background. Might be a little easier to see in person, but on a photo or in the painting that we have here, little difficult. Remember to pull your mountains down so that way they fade out to create a separation plane that you got going on here. I like your highlights that you have, but it looks like you did some type of tapping here, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think you forgot the action of tapping and then fading, so that way it makes it look in the background. Working on your angles could be a little bit better, but I do love the highlights that you have. May want to be a little bit lighter on your touch so that way you get those paint breaks. And your trees are kind of going in all directions a little bit here. Try to get them a little bit more up and down, so that way it looks like things are growing in nature. And then I think these are supposed to be bushes of land. I'm not sure. You got a good ice slope coming in here, but we need to work on getting whatever you're trying to create here to shine through on your paint brush and on your paint application. So what I would probably do is practice on your palette first. Then when you have it, scrape that paint up, restack it, load your brush, and then go and apply it to here. Because I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be. Tapping of land, bushes, whatever it is. Practice it first on your palette before you apply it here. Same thing can be said for this down here. This just needs to be better tapping of grass or bush or whatever it is. I get the idea of what you're doing. And then when you pull your water down, yeah, you get a little bit of mud mixing. It's fine though, but I understand what you're going for. The good news is I'd recommend painting this again. So that way you have a before and after. Your water looks really good. Just remember to pull your water straight down. Since there's ice and snow going into it, don't be afraid for your paintbrush to grab those and pull that down. And when you do pull them down and then you brush, whoops, and then you brush from left to right, you're gonna have these beautiful reflections in your water. That's gonna look awesome. And then everything's gonna look easy breezy and beautiful, dude. All right, last one, because I'm getting hungry, folks, is we've got Davis. And sorry if I'm gonna zip through this one, Davis, but I'm getting hungry, but I will still give you some good feedback here, dude. You started oil painting 2 months ago and I haven't painted anything since high school, and now I'm 25. Hell yeah, dude, get on it. I love how you have it. You're welcome, Paybird. So I love your sky. The only thing you need to have here is you've got blobs. You got blobs of color, which isn't necessarily bad because I can tell you that's where you started your cross strokes. All you need to do is just blend these in a little bit more. Blend and then pull the color in a general direction that you think is going to work for the landscape motion. Okay? That'd be my first piece of advice. And also keep your dark corners because that helps create your vignette. What you got here is some glorious booby mountains. Now, I love boobs, but generally with mountains, it's not going to work that well. You got you got an almighty pair of boobs going on here, and then you got a tri-boob going on here. Generally, boobs don't look that well for mountains. So look at a reference photo. For these, your mountains would probably kind of come down, and then maybe up. There's not as many aggressive angles when you have distant mountains, and then you fade down and across. Learn to pull the paint in a general direction that you want, and then leave contrast between the two. When you have contrast for different mountains, generally it's a nice hazy layer. So when you do your next set of mountains that are in the distance, you'll have a little white layer, and you can pull those up and then down, then maybe pull another mountain and then up and then down and go off and fade, okay? So think about that when you're creating your mountains. Stay away from boobs when creating mountains. Keep boobs in your dating life, okay? Not on the canvas, unless you're painting people. When it comes to your trees and bushes, your tree actually over here is, I'm going to say, pretty damn good, dude. Pretty damn good. I would probably have a little less highlight on the right side since your light source is generally in the center. It's going to be coming from the right. Your laying of land is pretty good. I would probably just move the tree up, start up here, so that way you have more laying of land to shape over to the right to the left. Your bushes, gonna be honest, not so good. Kind of suck. You're still learning. Learn to slap just a general shape of color in, and then pull it in the directions that you want. And then go back, let it tacky up. Oh, Thomas, thank you for the sub love, man. Just tap your color in the general shape that you want with a darker tone background. Then tacky up, put a blue shop towel on it, press just ever so slightly and pull it off so that way all the excess paint's gone. Then load up your brush, whatever you feel comfortable using, with your highlight color. And then you can start shaping. And then you can start shaping that bush that you have with all these different highlight colors. Don't eliminate all your contrast. Don't eliminate all your blacks. And then your water line looks really good. The other thing I would say is when it comes to forming your grass, it looks like you kind of just did brush strokes, which can kind of work for very distant land. But when it starts getting a little closer, you want to start tapping in some of this grass and creating different planes and all that stuff in there. Oh, these were meant to be distant trees. Then use less color. Use less color because you don't want a lot of detail to be in there. To me, these are mid-ground trees or bushes or whatever you're trying to create there. All in all, not bad. I think this is a good starting point. What I would recommend is watch a very, very simple tutorial that just does like sky, clouds, one mountain, and just a little bit of land. So that way things kind of grip and click for you as you're doing them. And then take your time when you do it. You know, just take your time and have a little bit of fun. And then you'll have everything that works out well for you. Also on your clouds, I didn't really mention clouds. When you did whipping of your outside edge, but remember, you got to fade that bottom edge down a little bit so it cements a little bit of the cloud in the sky, okay? So that thing, everything looks good. Or just email them to me, Airstrike, or if your girlfriend has Instagram or Twitter, she can reach out to me through a DM. That is if you think she can handle the glory that is this beast. Don't want to steal her from you. You know how it goes. But all in all, fantastic, dude. I am so fortunate that you guys were able to do all this fun stuff with me today. This was great. We streamed for 2.5 hours. I'm going to go get myself some fun food. This was one. It was about 4 hours. Made it during my first Bob Ross instructor class. Thank you so much for Christmas. No problem, dude. We're going to do these more often. It's just hard to find time because I've been dating again. The last 2 months of the year are difficult for me because birthday, holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, spending more time with my family. So generally I use my Saturdays to do that. Plus I love watching football. So Sunday I go watch football. But we'll figure out more times, and I might be able to do these during the week. I'm super appreciative that you guys could be here. I still want to try one during the evening, so that way it helps out a lot of people around the world. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. I don't have a video releasing this week, so this was it. I'll see you guys all next week, and I'll let you know the next time we do an art stream appreciation or an art review, and we'll go from there. Plus, I have to start working on new art. I have nothing in my home. I'm completely sold out of art, which is awesome, but I need to make some things, so I'll make some tutorials. So if you guys want to see a tutorial of something in the future, let me know, and I'll plan it out. But thank you guys. Oh, Lady Galaga, thank you so much. If you guys haven't had a chance, Lady Galaga is a beautiful human being that paints beautifully in the same wet on wet style. She does full tutorials. Perfect example that she does on her channel. If you're ever having an issue grasping any concept with oil paint, wet on wet, or any elements within a painting, I'd highly recommend check out her. The best part about her is she's extremely verbal through her videos and will talk you through the process. Lady Galaga, thank you so much for tuning in here. I'm going to go fill my tummy with food and then get ready because I'm cooking a beautiful dinner tonight, which I will show you on my Instagram. If you guys want to give me a free birthday wish to make come true, you can follow me on my Instagram and on my Twitter. Handles are in the video description. That would mean the world to me because then I get to gloat it in front of my mom and let her know that I'm someone on a digital platform, which will mean nothing to her. And then I bought myself a lotto ticket. So send me all your good vibes. Because I want to win the lottery because I want nothing more than to sell out. I will see you guys all later. Take care. Thank you so much for the beautiful birthday wishes. Thank you all so much for being here. Just thanks. I'm really bad at send-offs. And I'll probably be drunk tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. So I'll probably send some fun pictures. So yeah, follow me on this channel here for the community. And then follow me on Instagram for fun photos of me making an ass of myself and striking out on the dance floor with girls. Good times. I'll see you guys all later. Take care and have a good one. And as always, peace.